I'll wait for him. Chalo, when he comes, I'll. So, I was told by one of my mentors, Dr. हसमुख भाई अड़िया जी, कि अपनी जिंदगी के बारे में बोलना है. Now that's the most difficult topic ever in life. है तो difficult है. अपने बारे में बोलना, पब्लिक में बोलना, या तो आप प्रेज करोगे या तो भी गलत है, और अगर बुराई करोगे तो भी गलत है. Most difficult thing. I thought let me start with something which has made a very big difference in my life. Something which has been a game changer, thought changer, एक total life में जो change लाने वाला point रहा, वो मैं आपके साथ में share करूँगा. Is that fine? आप में से कितने लोग 25 से कम के हैं? 25 से कम, राइट? तो बहुत सारी चीज़ें होगी जो आपने कभी बुक्स में ही पढ़ी होगी या नेट पे पढ़ी होगी, देखी हुई नहीं होगी, राइट? पर जो विल स्टार्ट विथ समथिंग दैट यू हैव सीन. देखी हुई चीज में से वंदे भारत देखी हुई है? कितने लोगों ने देखी है? कितने लोग बैठे हैं? बैठे वाले भी काफी हैं, राइट? कैसा एक्सपीरियंस है? अच्छा है? कैसा है? अच्छा है? क्या अच्छा लगा? तो एक जना खड़ा हो जाए. हाँ बेटा, आप खड़े हो जाओ. हाँ, राइट. टाइम बचाता है. और किसी का? हाँ. अरे वाह हमें पता भी नहीं चला कब पहुंच गए. वेरी गुड. ये हुई ना बात. और ये मेरे जैसा है बिल्कुल वेरी गुड. मैं इसी पॉइंट पे आना चाहता था. थैंक्स यार. क्या नाम है? अभी के लिए जोर से ताली बजा लो सबके साथ. शाउट आउट. ताली से क्या होता है? Come, sir. I welcome His Excellency, Honorable Prime Minister of Bhutan, a good friend and a wonderful person. So, Avi, now, how did that happen? I want to share that story because that has been a very big learning thing for me. That changed the way I think. That's why I want to share that story with you. When the design had to be done, you know, it's like Vande Bharat train mane, practically it's a power plant running at a speed of 160 kmph. सुधीर भाई बैठे हैं. पावर प्लांट कितना कॉम्प्लेक्स होता है, राइट? कितना पावर प्लांट कितना कॉम्प्लेक्स होता है, राइट? यहाँ पे पावर जनरेट करना है, उस पावर को यूज भी करना है और 100 kmph से ज़्यादा की स्पीड पे उसको चलाना है. यानी क्या वाइब्रेशंस का ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा, किस तरह से सारे सिस्टम्स एक से दूसरे से इंटीग्रेट होने पड़ेंगे, वो सब का सब हमको ध्यान रखने की जरूरत पड़ती है, राइट? अब जब चैलेंज सामने था कि हमको वर्ल्ड क्लास बनानी है, ऐसा हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने, पीएम साहब ने चैलेंज सबके सामने रखा कि वर्ल्ड क्लास बनानी है. तो वर्ल्ड क्लास बनानी है, तो वर्ल्ड क्लास के लिए जितने भी पैरामीटर्स हैं उन सबको वी हैव टू डू अ बेंचमार्किंग. ओके, वर्ल्ड क्लास सीट्स, वर्ल्ड क्लास टॉयलेट्स, वर्ल्ड क्लास इलेक्ट्रिकल्स, वर्ल्ड क्लास. उसमें जो सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज आया, जो अभी ने बोला, टेक्नोलॉजी का इंटीग्रेशन. बोगी क्या होती है? बोगी क्या होती है? जिसमें बैठते हो, राइट? नहीं, वो बोगी नहीं होती. वो बोगी नहीं होती. आप कहते हो ना कि बोगी नंबर S6, बोगी नंबर B2, नहीं, वो बोगी नहीं होती है. दैट्स, किसने बोला? इनके लिए ताली बजाओ. सॉलिड क्या नाम आपका? ध्वनि. ध्वनि जी के लिए ताली, राइट? दैट्स कोच. जिसमें बैठते वो क्या है? कोच है. अरे यार, क्लास में तो थोड़ा तेज बोलने का मजा आता है ना. क्या है वो? हाँ. और बोगी होती है उसके नीचे का चेसी फ्रेम, जिसके ऊपर व्हील्स लगे हुए हैं, मोटर लगती है, ब्रेक लगता है, बुल गियर लगता है, जितने भी नीचे के मैकेनिज्म में एयर स्प्रिंग लगती है उसको कहते हैं बोगी. जैसे ट्रक के नीचे चेसी होता है ना, बस के नीचे एक चेसी होता है, उसके ऊपर बॉडी बिल्ड होती है, राइट. तो उसमें हमने टीम को चैलेंज दिया, नॉर्मली अगर 4 मिलीमीटर का डिजाइन का मार्जिन है तो इसमें 1 मिलीमीटर का डिजाइन का मार्जिन लेना है. वैसा क्यों दिया चैलेंज? ऐसा इसलिए दिया कि जब कोई चीज भारत से बनेगी उसके ऊपर पीपल विल पुट मेनी क्वेश्चन मार्क्स. सो नाउ वी हैव टू प्रूव समथिंग. व्हेन वी वांट टू प्रूव समथिंग देन वी हैव टू बी बेटर देन मेनी अदर्स. करेक्ट. हम ये भी सोच सकते थे कि अगर दुनिया में 4 का मार्जिन है तो आप उसको 6 का बना लो, चलेगा, राइट. एक जो एटीट्यूड 50-60 साल तक था देश में, चलेगा, चलता है, जैसा भी है, राइट, उससे बाहर निकलना है. उससे बाहर निकलना तो क्या करना पड़ेगा? हमें एक्स्ट्रा मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी, अपने बेंचमार्क को और कहीं पे ले जाना पड़ेगा. करेक्ट. तो वो बेंचमार्क वंदे भारत में लिया, बहुत ही फाइन उसका डिजाइन किया. अब उसमें सामने अपने सामने टारगेट है कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने 15 अगस्त में लाल किले से बोला है कि हम 1 साल के अंदर अंदर इतनी 24 महीने के अंदर अंदर इतना काम करके दिखा देंगे, राइट. अब आपके सामने डिजाइन भी बेटर लानी है और टाइम भी मेंटेन करना है, राइट. ऐसे में जो डिसीजन मेकिंग होती है, दैट इज व्हेन योर थॉट प्रोसेस कम्स इनटू बिग टेस्ट. It's very easy to achieve something when the constraints are not there. It's very difficult to achieve things when constraints are there. And when constraints are very, very difficult, they are public, they are open. So then what do? And all of you will face those things. All of you are the brightest minds in the country today, right? All of you have achieved so much, that's why you are here. So you will be facing those things in whichever field you want to go. You want to go in the field of arts, want to go in the field of academics, want to go into industry, want to go in, become entrepreneurs, want to be in the field of technology. You will always face those challenges. I have faced multiple times. I am sharing one experiment with you, one experience with you, because that's very, very relevant. That is the time when you have to really, really put your head down. Make sure that you are listing out everything which is needed to be done. You are also listing out everything that is going to make your project fail. This is what I thought I must share with you. Make a list of everything that will make the project fail. So I used to ask my team के 2 members यहाँ पे बैठे भी हैं, कि इससे ये कैसे फेल होगा, ये बताओ. फेल क्यों होगा साहब? नहीं, कैसे फेल होगा वो बताओ. क्या चीज है जो नहीं होने से प्रोजेक्ट फेल हो जाएगा? What else will make this project fail? What else will make this project fail? What else can cause this project to fail? What else can lead us to a scenario which we don't desire, right? This thinking makes your entire decision making very robust. Then you realize कि यहाँ पर ये दिक्कत है, यहाँ पर ये दिक्कत है, यहाँ पर ये दिक्कत है. Now this is what I should do for this. This is what I should do for this. This is what I should do for this. That makes you a very robust execution person, a robust design person. I thought I'll share this learning with you so that it can help you when you are handling some challenging task. कोई भी आएगा लाइफ में चैलेंज तो आएगा ही आएगा, राइट? उस वक्त ये चीज आपके शायद काम आ जाए, याद रहेगी तो. भूल तो जाते हैं ना. लेकिन अगर याद रहेगी तो दिस विल बी अ वेरी बिग thing that will help you. That was first thing I wanted to share with you. The second thing which I wanted to share with you is focus. Life का English dictionary का most beautiful word is focus. If there is one word which really makes a big difference in any person's life, that is focus. If you can focus, if we can focus, we can achieve so much. How many of you have interest in working of the brain? बुक्स पढ़ी है, यूट्यूब पे वीडियो देखा होगा, इंस्टा पे वीडियो देखा होगा, राइट? देखा होगा, कई सारे अच्छे पॉडकास्ट हैं विच बेसिकली टेड टॉक भी है कुछ जो विच एक्सप्लेन हाउ द ब्रेन फंक्शंस. द ब्रेन व्हेन इट लुक्स एट वन थिंग, when it's working on one single item, then it is like the brain of a PhD scholar. If it is working on two items, then it is like a master's. If it is working simultaneously on three things, then it is like a bachelor's. If it is simultaneously working on more than 5 items, then it is like a we know. Correct? It becomes very less performance. It becomes really, really inefficient. So how do you achieve that? How do you achieve that? To achieve that, you have to we have to train ourselves to focus on one thing which is the most important to achieve today, achieve now, achieve in the present. एक गौतम बुद्धा का, भगवान बुद्ध का एक बहुत अच्छा स्टोरी आता है, मैंने कई साल पहले पढ़ा था. भगवान बुद्ध के पास में एक आदमी गया, बोला कि मुझे आप बताओ उस पहाड़ के ऊपर चढ़ना है, कैसे चढ़ूं? तो भगवान बुद्ध ने उनको बोला, उस पहाड़ की चिंता मत करो, तुम जस्ट चिंता करो कि तुम्हारा नेक्स्ट स्टेप क्या होगा. व्हाट इज योर नेक्स्ट स्टेप? थिंक ऑफ दैट. एक स्टेप आप उस पर फोकस करो, कैसे ढंग से वो स्टेप लोगे, नेक्स्ट लेवल पे पहुंचोगे, वहां पे स्टेबल होना, उसके बाद में अगला स्टेप सोचो. दैट ब्रिंग्स द फोकस. इफ यू आर थिंकिंग ऑफ 20 डिफरेंट थिंग्स साइमल्टेनियसली, देन योर फोकस विल नॉट कम. मेरा जो व्हाट्सएप का स्टेटस है, दैट इज फीड योर फोकस एंड स्टार्व योर डिस्ट्रैक्शंस. जो भी डिस्ट्रैक्शंस हैं उनको स्टार्व करो. कैसे स्टार्व करोगे? इफ यू कम टू माई रूम, you'll find that there is no TV which is on. TV distracts. If you come to my room and I'm talking to you, you'll find that the phone will probably not be at the place where I'm sitting discussing with you, because phone distracts. That's an urgent thing, but then that takes away the focus. If I'm working with a team in a room, Chitrakoot room, where we do most of the brainstorming work, then 99.9% there won't be any phone in that room. So there is no distraction. So we have to starve our distractions and feed our focus so that we can achieve the maximum potential of the biggest gift God has given us, which is our brain. Right? These are the two things I thought I'll share with you. And how are we doing on time, sir? Now we can take the questions. Open for questions. And how do we moderate the questions? Dhwaniji, will you moderate the questions? I don't want to be that. Everybody else will be happy. Okay, we start from whichever. हाँ, young man. ऐसे बोल रहे यार. वो तेरी आवाज़ तो ऐसे बोल. एक इधर के लिए रख लो.
Hello. So good afternoon, sir. I'm Mithilesh Khandwala. I'm 15 years of age. So, sir, my question is, as you know, you're such a good leader. There are two tactics of leadership. One is leading from the front, and the other is leading from behind. So, sir, in both cases, it has its pros and it has its cons. And so, what do you prefer, and what do you expect the generation of today to prefer, leading from front?
Superb question, man. At your age, I don't think I would have ever been able to ask a question like this. What a bright person you are. Great, Bato. Leading from the front, leading from the back. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं होता है. You always have to lead from the front. There is no other way to lead. There is no other way to lead. You have to lead from the front. I don't know. I'll give you a slightly different example than the two that I gave. Baleshwar mein, there was a major accident in June 2023. I'm sure all of you are aware of it. when trains collided and things happened. I was there on the site for almost 4 days and clinically thinking कि कैसे एरियाज को डिवाइड करना है, कैसे रोल्स एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज शेयर डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करनी है, टू मेक श्योर दैट पीपल डोंट गेट टायर्ड, मेक श्योर दैट एवरीथिंग इज डन द वे इट इज टू बी डन. राइट? यू हैव टू लीड फ्रॉम द फ्रंट. हैव टू. देयर इज नो अदर वे टू लीड. वो जमाने गए जब एम्परर बैठेगा पैलेस में और आर्मी जाएगी सामने. दोज डेज आर लाइक हिस्ट्री बुक में से भी निकलने लग गया अब तो, वो बहुत पुराना हो गया. राइट? तो अभी तो यू हैव टू लीड फ्रॉम द फ्रंट. राइट? दैट्स माय एक्सपीरियंस इन लाइफ. दिस साइड,
Yeah.
ऑन दिस साइड.
Namaste, sir. My name is Nikita Pradeep Talnekar. I'm from Pune, Maharashtra.
कशा आहेत?
मजेत. तुम्ही कसे आहात?
खूप छान.
तुम्हाला बघून खूप छान वाटलं.
चितले बंधू मिष्ठान भंडार से लेने के.
सर, माझा हा प्रश्न होता. आत्ता थोड्या वेळापूर्वी मोदीजी म्हणाले,
समझ में आने के लिए हिंदी में बोल.
ओके, जस्ट अ while ago मोदीजी said he spoke about leading with compassion. Right now you spoke about the 2023 the problem which happened. Now that's a high pressure environment. Few minutes ago you said you have to focus. How do you handle leading with compassion, focus, and everything that is there that it means to be means to do as in a position that you are in? So how do you handle that? I feel that it's like a
Very
difficult.
important point. Very, very difficult thing. Very important also. But it's possible. It's possible. See, I came from a very small village. Very ordinary family. Our Prime Minister also, you have known what kind of background with which, how much struggle he has done. If we think that we have to achieve this, and if we put a heart, soul, body, mind, everything in it, there's nothing in this world that you cannot achieve. Everything you can achieve. And under the toughest of the situations, if you can keep your mind cool, think of what needs to be done. Buddha, what is your next step? Correct? Focus. Starve your distractions. Right? Compassion comes from the heart. If you can just make your mind focused on these items, you will do that only. You will do that only. I had a choice today. I could have taken a speech and read it out to you. Right? I decided not to do that because I wanted to be connected with you today. Correct? मैंने कहा one-on-one जाके बात करेंगे. तो once you decide that, then रात में मुझे मेरी टीम मेंबर मेरे बोल रहे थे कि रात में 10 बजे बोला कि तैयारी करनी है सर्कल के स्पीच की. मैंने कहा इस बार मैं बिना तैयारी के जाऊंगा. तैयारी नहीं करके जाऊंगा. So that it's direct connect. ऐसा है ना? तो जो सोचोगे वो हो जाएगा.
धन्यवाद सर. नंतर चान्स मिळाला तर माहीत नाही, पण इथूनच चरण स्पर्श.
अरे थैंक यू. ऐसा नहीं करना.
जय हिंद सर. जय हिंद सर. आप बहुत स्मार्ट लग रहे हैं. बहुत ही स्मार्ट लग रहे हैं आप यूथ कनेक्टिविटी में. मैं रोहित कुमार जोगी, फाउंडर ऑफ युवा सोच आर्मी. मैं एक सोशल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन चलाता हूँ. आप जो अभी एक हादसा हुआ रेलवे का, आप मैनेजमेंट को लीडरशिप से कैसे व्याख्यान करते हैं? मेरा ये बड़ा क्वेश्चन था, क्योंकि एक ऐसी घटना जो हम सभी को रूबरू करती गई और ये कहीं ना कहीं यूथ को एक मोटिव करती जा रही है. तो मैं बस ये जानना चाहता हूँ आप ऐसे मैनेजमेंट को कैसे लीडरशिप से नेतृत्व करते हैं सर?
मैनेजमेंट और लीडरशिप के बीच में जो डिफरेंस है वो प्लानिंग और इंस्पिरेशन वाला डिफरेंस है. इंस्पायर कब होता है व्यक्ति? कोई व्यक्ति इंस्पायर आपके साथ कैसे होता है? इंस्पिरेशन तब आता है जब सामने वाला लगता है कि ये मेरे साथ है, लीडर मेरे साथ है, हम अलग नहीं है, ये टीम अलग नहीं है, साथ जिएंगे, साथ मरेंगे, एक साथ काम करेंगे, जो प्रॉब्लम आएगी वो एक साथ सॉल्व करेंगे. प्रॉब्लम्स बहुत आएंगी, ये डिफरेंस अगर हम अपने आप में ले आए तो बहुत कुछ अचीव कर सकते हैं। तो फिर हम मैनेजमेंट से निकल के लीडरशिप में आ जाएंगे। मैनेजमेंट तो कोई भी पढ़ के भी कर सकता है, राइट? मैनेजमेंट की टेक्निक्स होती है, टूल्स होते हैं, वो पढ़ के भी कोई भी कर सकता है। लीडरशिप में यू हैव टू बी देयर ऑन द स्पॉट, फ्रॉम द फ्रंट, एंड बी विद द टीम। टीम को लगना चाहिए कि ये मेरा है, मैं इनके साथ हूँ, ये मेरे लिए है, राइट? देन इट हैपन्स। इस तरह के लाइफ में बहुत इंस्टेंसेस आएंगे जब ये डिफरेंस आप खुद फील करोगे। जब खुद फील करोगे तब एक्चुअल में लगेगा कि ये आज असली आंसर मिला।
थैंक यू सो मच सर, थैंक यू सो मच।
हेलो। हाँ, नमस्ते सर, मैं मध्य प्रदेश से आता हूँ। मेरा नाम अभिषेक सुमन है। सर मेरा आपसे क्वेश्चन है, आप इससे पहले एक आईएएस ऑफिसर रहे और सर आज आप एक पॉलिटिशियन हैं और साथ ही साथ एक रेलवे विभाग को आप संभाल रहे हैं, माननीय मंत्री जी हैं। तो सर एक आईएएस से एक रेलवे मंत्री की जर्नी में आप क्या अंतर पाते हैं?
सबसे बड़ा जो पॉलिटिकल लाइफ में एडवांटेज है वो ये है कि आपका कैनवस बहुत ब्रॉड है। ब्यूरोक्रेसी, जो रूल्स बने हैं उन रूल के फ्रेमवर्क में चलना होता है। जब आप पॉलिटिकल लीडरशिप में आते हो तो आपको वो फ्रीडम भी है कि आप रूल्स को भी चेंज कर सकते हो, बना सकते हो, कानून नए बना सकते हो। टेलीकॉम के सुनील मित्तल साहब यहाँ पे बैठे हैं, राइट? टेलीकॉम सेक्टर पूरा का पूरा बहुत सारे लिटिगेशंस में फंसा हुआ था। लगातार ये केस, वो केस, यहाँ पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट, हाई कोर्ट, लगातार। अगर एक ब्यूरोक्रेट सोचेगा उसमें तो वो जो एग्जिस्टिंग रूल्स है, एग्जिस्टिंग लॉ, उसके हिसाब से सोचेगा। और जब पॉलिटिकल लीडरशिप का दायित्व आता है तो आदमी सोचेगा कि ये कानून मैं क्यों ना बदल दूं। तो हम लोगों ने काम किया, 2 साल काम किया। और अच्छा, ये अच्छा क्विज है, ये क्विज में लेता हूँ। टेलीकॉम सेक्टर वन ऑफ द मोस्ट हाईटेक सेक्टर्स, राइट? टेलीकॉम सेक्टर का जो कानून होगा वो मॉडर्न होना चाहिए। बताओ अपने देश का कानून कौन से साल का था? 18, राइट? 1885 का कानून था। कैन यू बिलीव दैट? दैट इज व्हाट वी कैन चेंज, एंड वी चेंज्ड इट। वी गॉट अ ब्रांड न्यू फॉर योर जनरेशन, फॉर योर एस्पिरेशंस। वी गॉट अ ब्रांड न्यू लॉ, टेलीकॉम एक्ट। दैट्स द डिफरेंस बिटवीन अ bureaucratic journey and a political journey.
Hi, sir. I am.
So I've been told to wind up.
Okay.
So thanks a lot. Thank you, friends. अच्छा लगा.
So we request you to kindly come on the stage. We want to present a, yeah, I'm so sorry for that. In order to present a token of gesture to our Honorable Union Minister, sir, I request Mr. Manan Goel, he's a literature graduate from Delhi University, to kindly present the memento to sir. Yeah. बहुत बहुत तालियां हो जाए, पहला session, and he was able to connect to you all in a very, very great manner. Thank you so much, sir. Once again, thank you, sir, for your invaluable perspectives. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So we are moving towards the next session. You're not going anywhere, guys. Settle down. Yes, thank you so much. Padma Bhushan awardee, a pioneer of the telecom revolution and the first Indian citizen honored as an honorary knight by King Charles III. Please welcome the visionary behind Airtel's global success, Mr. Sunil BhartiMittal, the founder and chairman of Bharti Enterprises. Welcome, sir.
Very good morning to all of you. I think I'll also stay with the mixed Hindi and English, given that was the popular outcome of the previous vote by our minister. At the outset, let me first of all say a very warm welcome to Honorable Prime Minister here. And your words this morning were truly inspirational. And I'm here at the invitation of Hasmukh Ji, who asked me to come and share some of my experiences of building Airtel, Bharti Airtel in this country and beyond the shores of India. When I looked at the background of what soul is, it deeply touched my heart. कुछ ऐसा सोल में लगा जो सोल को छू गया. School of ultimate leadership, जिसमें the three pillars are excellence, integrity, and altruism. These are really, truly very powerful initiatives by any school anywhere in the world. And this is just not an initiative, it's a soch, it's a thought. And when I was told this is the brainchild of our Honorable Prime Minister, and we all experienced that this morning, how deeply he was attached, दिल से बोले, बहुत खुल के बोले, अपनी स्पीच ख़त्म करने के बाद उन्होंने कुछ और भी बातें बोली, अब सबसे उन्होंने कनेक्ट किया, अब सबसे आकांक्षाएं बनाई कि आप एक दिन बड़े लीडर बनेंगे. What our Prime Minister recognizes it, that you have to multiply leadership. एक लीडर और कितने लीडर बनाएगा और वो अपनी टर्न में कितने और लीडर बनाएंगे, उसी से कंपनीज बनती हैं, उसी से देश बनते हैं, उसी से दुनिया चलती है. So I am very pleased that I have this opportunity and privilege to be one of the panelists and speakers here today to talk to this young crowd. And all of you are truly young. When I walked into this room, I was surprised because normally you come into these sessions and you have a lot of familiar, known faces. And when I walked in, I said, "Oh, this is really a young crowd." And I earlier had the chance of meeting the youngest one here, of 15 years old, who asked a question just a little while ago. Here he is now. And I must say that you are the future of this country. And I'm glad that we have been assembled, some of us have been assembled here over the next 2 days to talk about our experiences. क्योंकि वक्त बहुत कम है और आपको क्वेश्चंस भी कुछ पूछने होंगे, कमेंट्स भी होंगे. मेरी ज़िंदगी आप ही की तरह बहुत बचपन में शुरू हुई. 18 साल की उम्र में मैं अपने बिज़नेस में आ गया और बहुत छोटे से पैसे से, उस वक्त 20,000 रुपये, शायद आज 2-3-4 लाख के बराबर होगा, उससे मैंने शुरुआत की. जैसे अभी अश्विनी जी ने बोला कि जो कैनवस होती है, हर की एक डिफरेंट कैनवस होती है. मैं पढ़ाई में बहुत तेज़ नहीं था आपकी तरह, तो बड़ी मुश्किल से मैंने अपनी ग्रेजुएशन करके 18 साल की उम्र में मैंने अपना काम शुरू किया. मेरी कैनवस बिज़नेस की कैनवस थी, उसी से मैंने अपनी शुरुआत की और वहीं से मैंने अपने धीरे धीरे बिज़नेस बनाना शुरू किया. पर एक बड़ा क्लियर मेरे माइंड में एक विज़न था कि बिज़नेस तो करूँगा, पर बिज़नेस ऐसे करूँगा कि सिर्फ वेल्थ क्रिएशन नहीं होनी चाहिए, सिर्फ पैसा नहीं बनना चाहिए. इट शुड नॉट बी merely a tool to make money, but it should be a tool to create an impact, a very deep impact in the society, and it must be a force for good. जब छोटे बिजनेस होते हैं तो ज़ाहिर तौर पे उसमें कोई इम्पैक्ट नहीं हो सकता ज़्यादा, और शुरू में आपको अपने लिए रिसोर्सेज भी इकट्ठे करने होते हैं. आपको, हमारे ज़माने में आज की तरह फंड रेज आसान नहीं था. आज तो आपके पास आइडिया है तो पैसे मिलेंगे. इफ़ यू हैव ए गुड आइडिया, देयर आर लॉट्स ऑफ पीपल बैंकिंग यू आउट देयर. It was not in our time. You needed land, you needed machinery. There is no money. How do you buy land? If there is no land, where do you get the money? Because there's nothing to mortgage with the banks. So it was a very difficult cycle in those days. But some of us kept on working hard and assiduously towards our goals. And finally, some small successes in the earlier years led to some more successes. It kept on building. As they say, 1% each time compounds into something very big. And that's what you have to keep in mind. और फिर setback भी होते हैं, पीछे भी आएंगे, उससे डरना नहीं है. Never get discouraged with that. So there's always a proposition where you will move forward and then you will go and search forward. And occasionally you will get a gust of wind behind you and you will take a big jump forward. इसी तरह मेरी ज़िंदगी शुरू हुई. 18 से लेके करीब 22-23 साल तक बहुत स्ट्रगल रहा. ट्रक की छत पे, ट्रेन की ज़मीन पे, हर तरह का काम मैंने किया हुआ है. आज वंदे भारत की बात हो रही थी. हमारे वक्त तो बहुत उसी तरह की ट्रेन्स थी. आंखों में कोयला भी पड़ता था, ज़मीन पर भी बैठना पड़ता था, खाने के लिए भी कुछ खास नहीं होता था ट्रेन में। तो वो ज़िंदगी देखी है, पर वहाँ से निकाल के लाए आगे। और क्योंकि ट्रेनिंग इतनी ज़बरदस्त उस वक्त हुई, ग्राउंड से हुई, तो पक भी गए, ताकि जब आगे जाके बड़ी बड़ी बैटल्स लड़नी थी, when we had to go and fight some very big battles which were almost existential in our life, we could deal with it because we were very well prepared for it. So my life journey has been quite a tumultuous one. It's been a quite a interesting one, a lot of ups and downs. Many of you would have read about the story of Bharti Enterprise, personally my own life story. So I will not stay too much with that. I have a few messages for you today, because I was inspired by our Honorable Prime Minister this morning, and when he spoke to some of us sitting here, he said, you must share your experiences with this group so that they can leave this two-day seminar with a much better perspective of how leaders have shaped their careers in their life. And I would like to do that today with you. So first and foremost, I think जो भी आप करिए, किसी भी फील्ड में जाइए, अश्विनी जी ने अभी बोला, आर्ट में जाइए, साइंस में जाइए, टेक्निकल एजुकेशन में जाइए, मेडिकल में जाइए, जहाँ भी जाना है, ये सोच के जाइए कि हमें अपनी ज़िंदगी में जो करना है वो ऐसे करें कि that should be so impactful that it creates a lot of impact in the society in a very positive way. We must be, whatever we do, be a force for good. That has to be the first principle. जो भी करो, अच्छा करो. Second is leadership style. एक question पूछा गया यहाँ कि should we lead from the front or from behind? And I think we heard our Honorable Minister that when you have to lead, and I think what he meant was when there's a crisis, when a leader has to lead, you need to be visible. You need to be out there. You need to be there to lead your teams. I have done that in my early years. I've climbed towers. I've gone into the trenches in the fiber. I've sat all night in the switch rooms when some network issues came up. We had some crisis a few times. With the engineers, rolling up my sleeves all night and ensuring that the services come back up before the people wake up in the morning. So you have to lead in the front. You can't sit at the back. But I had fortune of spending some time with General Mehta, who was my Secretary General when I was the President of CII. And I asked him, I said, tell me, how do you define leadership and how do you feel a leader should lead? And he said something which stayed with me. He said a leader has to lead from the front, but he should not go so far away from his team that everybody is left behind. Occasionally, he has to circle all the way back and come behind them to push them, to support them. And frequently in between, he has to go right into the center of his team to feel the joy and pain that they experience. So a good general leads from the front, occasionally goes behind, circles back, comes in the middle, and then goes right in front. I have done all those three things all my life. Because हर चीज़ की, हर टाइम होता है हर चीज़ के लिए. कभी आप आगे हैं, कभी आप टीम को पीछे से पुश कर रहे हैं, कभी आप उनके बीच में हैं. ये तीनों चीज़ें करनी ज़रूरी है. सेकंड पॉइंट इज, बहुत लोग कहते हैं कि हर दिन ऐसे जियो कि आपका आखिरला दिन हो. लिव योर लाइफ एज इफ इट्स योर लास्ट डे. I disagree with that. My philosophy has been very different. Because if you truly believe it's your last day, trust me, you will make some rash moves. You will do things that are not very good for you or society or the nation. I believe that every morning when you wake up, you must feel it's your first day of your life. Because that creates momentum. You look forward to tomorrow. Another day. Another day has started. You will learn new things. You will be curious to know what's going on. And you will do the right things because you're going to live long enough to reap the rewards of what you're doing every day. So please wake up every morning and trust it like a first day of your life and start your day like that. The next point is assemble people around you who are illuminators. बहुत लोग आपको बोलेंगे ये हो ही नहीं सकता, ये कर ही नहीं सकते. All the time you have people who will be diminishers, who will try to bring you down. How can you do this? ये possible नहीं है. यहाँ तक कि आपके चाहने वाले भी कई बार बोल देते हैं नहीं नहीं इतना मत ऊपर उड़ो, इतना मत आगे जाओ, बड़ा मुश्किल है ये. It's very difficult. Please surround yourself with illuminators because that can-do attitude is so important कि हो सकता है, कर सकते हैं. हर रोज़ जब उठो तो बोलो ये हो सकता है हम करेंगे. And whenever you face an obstacle, think of how you will create a staircase, a step to overcome that, because it can be done. So always be an illuminator yourself and surround yourself with illuminators so that you can achieve things that are generally not easily possible. The next point I will say is, for my business that is more relevant, make the people who work with you feel that they are also the co-owners with you. The entrepreneur culture doesn't necessarily need to be with an entrepreneur. It has to be with the entire team. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, you're a doctor, people who are with you in the operating theater must feel a part of your team, must feel equal ownership of that issue that is on the table, on the operating table at that point in time. That is how Bharti Airtel has lived. Every employee in our company feels he's an owner. They carry the pride on their chest to say, I am Airtel. Each one of them, 100,000 people will say, I am Airtel. They don't say, I work for Airtel. They are the Airtel. That is only possible if you truly believe from your heart and mind that they are co-owners with you. And that is so important. Whatever you do, your team members, whichever area you are, जो भी क्षेत्र में आप काम करें, जो भी आपके साथ काम कर रहे हैं, एकजुट होकर एक टीम होनी चाहिए. सबको उतना ही ओन करना है जितना आपको करना है. Only then you can be successful. If you feel, I will take all the glory and I will take all the credits and they will do all the work, you will never get a first-rate outcome. Make them a part of the same mission that you are on. Last part is whoever you're serving. In public service, you will be serving the public at large. In certain professions, you'll be serving your customers, your clients. Be obsessed with that. How can you serve your customers, your constituents in the most effective possible manner? That obsession has to be on your mind. And the expectations, the aspirations of people you're serving keep rising. You give people a gas connection which they never had. You give them a road that they never had. You give them electricity that they never had. It's not enough. Come the next elections, those are forgotten. They're done. That was the right. We have 5 more things pending. We have 10 more things pending. Aspirations will keep going up. You will have to be more creative. You will have to be more efficient in delivering services to your customers, to your constituents, to everybody out there. That is the 5th principle I would say you need to follow. Life will be hard. In conclusion, let me say there will be struggles as you go forward, but never, ever doubt your own abilities. You are today in a country which is aspiring to be one of the most leading nations in the world. We heard our Prime Minister this morning, by 2047, India truly will be Viksit Bharat. It will be truly the 3rd largest economy in the world. It will truly be a 30 trillion economy. You are fortunate to be living in times when India is taking wings and will carry the dreams of all the young people, 1.4 billion people, of which nearly 58% are very young people like you. They will all be seeing a very different India than what we grew up in. We will have some joy of seeing the next 20 years, 30 years, hopefully, as sort of we depart into our end of life. But you will be entering that phase, the glorious phase of Viksit Bharat. So I'd like to end by saying, I wish all of you great future. I wish you great success in whatever you do. And I hope these 2 days, ये 2 दिन जो हैं, ये आपके लिए ऐसे हों, जो आपको लेके जाए, इसमें से आप ऐसे सीख और ऐसे experiences जो आपकी ज़िंदगी में काम आए. Thank you very much. Sure. Yeah, sure. Let's pass the mic around and we can start with one of the
Good afternoon, sir.
young girls. Okay,
Sir,
go ahead.
I am Malika Singh Pathania from Himachal Pradesh. Sir, I wanted to know your perspective on the growing duopoly in the Indian telecom sector. I just wanted to know your take. Is it beneficial for the Indian telecom sector or not, considering less competition and less innovation? Thank you.
Well, I think it's a very good question, a very topical question. India had gone up to 12 operators. And that, I can tell you, was also extremely weak environment in the marketplace. Let me, in brief, sum and substance, tell you, in our industry, what is important? there are two things that we live by: massive capital investment and spectrum availability. These are the two important ingredients for telecom industry, especially the mobile industry. You should not fragment the spectrum to a point where it becomes inefficient. Indian spectrum was fragmented to a point where it has become completely inefficient. The services were poor, you could not serve the customers, it had become extremely expensive. So spectrum consolidation was very important. Second part is, how many highways are too many highways in parallel? How many roads you want to build from here to a particular city? 1, 2, or 10 highways running in parallel. How wasteful it will be to build 10 fiber lanes between here and the rest of the country, or running all across the country. How many are too many? So the infrastructure part is very important, that it's consolidated, so billions of dollars, lakhs of crores can go into very robust, high quality infrastructure. Therefore, consolidation of infrastructure is very important. Spectrum in consolidation is also important, yet competition is equally important, so that the customers keep on keeping every operator honest and get the best services at the best price. The good news is, despite we coming to almost now down to 3 private operators, Indian prices remain very low. Indian scale allows you to keep the prices low. At $2.50, India is the lowest price anywhere in the world. We should be extremely proud that we can use 30, 60 GB of data a month for $2.5, $3. I personally feel there will be 3 to 4 operators, including BSNL, to serve the country. World over, there's now a rallying cry. In Europe especially, where there's a lot of fragmentation, bring 4 to 3, 3 to 2. Africa is mostly 2, US is 3, China is 3. So I think the right size is 3 to 4, no more than that. Sorry for this long answer. Yes, let's take a question.
Hello, sir. Sir.
All right, go ahead.
Sir, you said that first, Ashwini sir said that we are, if we working in a different areas, so first we have to focus on one. So, sir, as I'm a student, as I'm NSS president at Central University of Rajasthan, as I'm going village to provide the services to every people as I can, as volunteering I can provide. But, sir, when I'm providing services, I get obsessed with that. So, sir, how can I focus on study if I obsessed with that? I need to balance. How you balance with that all?
I think Ashwini ji very nicely mentioned that the task at hand you need to focus on. He did not mean you only do one thing. What he meant was, whatever you're doing at that point in time, focus completely on that. उस पे focus करके उसको अच्छी तरह निभाओ. Because then only you will be able to do things judiciously and rightly. But it doesn't mean you do only that. जब आप studies में जाएंगे, अपना study करिए. जब service कर रहे हैं तो service करिए. In our situation, एक time पे 20-20 मसले सामने होते हैं. और सबको देखना है, एक ही दिन में देखना है, कुछ घंटों में देखना है. पर जब एक चीज़ पे देख रहे हैं आप, उस पर फोकस कर रहे हैं, तो उसी को देखना है. अगर आप 10 चीज़ों को एक टाइम पे देखेंगे तो जाहिर तौर पे बड़ा एवरेज पुअर आउटकम आएगा.
सर, एक और क्वेश्चन था कि मैं बोलता हूँ यूनिवर्सिटी में कि मैं प्लास्टिक फ्री बना दूंगा यूनिवर्सिटी को. सर, जब लोग कहते हैं ये तो नहीं हो पाएगा भाई, तो उसको कैसे बैलेंस करें?
तो अपने साथ एकत्रित करिए ऐसे लोग जो बोल सकते हैं हो सकता है. खुद भी मान के चलिए, हो सकता है.
Sir, my name is Kunal Garg. I am from Punjab and I am doing business in animal nutrition. Sir, the question I wanted to ask you is, how were you able to scale to such heights that you have the best ARPU in the country, in the telecom sector in India today? The question I ask now, because the problem I'm facing is that I have a good product, but I'm not able to scale it to a large extent. I am able to, the product I have is competing with the MNCs, but I'm not able to scale the competence they have. So please can you share some thoughts on how can
ये बड़ा अच्छा क्वेश्चन आपका है. मैं अपने पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस से बताता हूँ. When I was starting my business, I realized that all the bigger business houses in the country at that time had taken a pole position in most of the areas that I wanted to work on. So I went into making bicycle parts, eventually with the dream of going to bicycles, but they were already established. Atlas, Hero, A1 cycles, all were there. Similarly, in hosiery, there were lots of, I come from Ludhiana, also Punjab, there are a lot of established players. So I felt very constrained that all I can be is a small supplier to these people, and it'll be very difficult to break away because everywhere, whatever you want to do, there is something already established. So आप जैसे बोल रहे हैं, there's an MNC which has got a dominance in this area. So what I did was I started to look at areas or openings where there were opportunities where these people were not present. And I started to really go into those areas. I imported India's first portable generators in the country when I was about 20 to 23 years old from Japan. There were no generators in India at that time. Nobody was in that business. Electricity shortages were rampant, including in Punjab, 16 hours power cut, 12-hour power cut. So I found a niche for myself in which I became very successful for about 3 or 4 years. Then Sri Ram Honda, Birla Yama, they set up factories in India, or they got licenses at that time, and my business was gone overnight. But I got this 4-year window to create enough capital for myself to move on to something new. And what was that new? I found push-button phones in Taiwan in one of my trips. And I brought India's first push-button phone into India. And then, of course, my romance with telecom started, and one thing led to another, to where we are today. So you have to find a niche for your product. Who are the customers? If you believe your product is superior, you will have to go and demonstrate to a niche and start to grow from there. Because I can tell you one thing. You have to remember to lie low below the radar of these large companies till you become strong. Once they get to know that you're becoming strong in that area, they'll come at you. They'll bring their prices down, they'll go and attack your customers. Stay below the radar for until a time when you have developed your muscles. Until that time, go to your customers, show them your products, create a niche market, and keep growing. There will be openings. You will be surprised. You'll find an opening, you'll surge forward. You'll find another opening, you'll surge forward. That's the only way to do this. Keep at it.
Hello, sir. So,
let's take some from the ladies as well. I think it's been quite men-heavy questions, so I'll come back to you. Lady here in the purple sari. You have a mic?
Hello, sir. I'm Astha from Himachal. I'll keep my question leadership-oriented. As you mentioned that a key aspect of leadership is to work with your team and keep your team united. But at times, for work efficiency, it's also important to let go of some people. How do you manage to do such tasks with empathy, fairness, and compassion?
Very good question. I think it's a fabulous question, and this is something, it does not come to me easily. I'm very weak in this area. For me, if I have somebody working with me, it's very hard for me to be hard on them or ask them to go. For me, their family, their children, because people are dependent on their jobs, people are attached to their jobs. So first and foremost is try to inspire them to work better. Because I think it was mentioned that everybody has the potential. Everybody has the potential, and sometimes you have a round peg in a square box. So maybe he's in the wrong place, maybe he's in the wrong department. Can you move him around? Can you do something else? And that is where our job is constantly to do that. And at times it doesn't work. And that's the time you have to be so good at the departure stage. मेरा एक test है with everybody who has worked with me ever, and people who have not even met me but has worked in my organization. If we were to meet sometime later, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years down the road, we should be able to look into each other's eyes and say, we were good for each other. He did well for me, and equally did I add enough to his CV to make him better. So he can get a better job, because people will, I'm stuck here, I don't have a choice, but everybody else has a choice. They can go to greener pastures abroad, they can go into another company. But whenever we meet, the test has to be that we are good for each other. And that test, I can tell you, I passed every time of my life. There's not been one single instance where somebody can say that we were not treated well, because they have to be your ambassadors wherever they go. And on a lighter note, I can tell you, we have not lost too many people. Occasionally, when we lose some people, I can almost with certainty say within 1 or 3 weeks, I'll get a message, I want to come back. We do something in our system or our culture which I hope we can bottle it that we respect people, we keep them well, we look after themselves. Ultimately, you have to make them feel as owners. And that's what we do very well. लोग हमारे से जाते नहीं है छोड़ के, कितने तूफान भी आ जाएं. एक दिन मेरे को याद है 2003, 85 of my top people were given an offer to move. 85. That was my entire leadership team. 2003. I wouldn't say who sent that offer. The offer was like, fill in your whatever amount you want and you have a job, you can move. Only 2 people moved. And I can tell you, I was not paying the top money in this country at that time. I couldn't afford it. My salaries would have been medium level. So that was the power of the mission and the attachment they had to the company. And that has stayed all throughout. Lady here.
Thank you so much, sir. My name is Sania and I'm from Kashmir. So my question first starts with a statement that says that majority of the Indian population and the youth we all see today, it's an established fact that we are middle class, okay? So then the success stories, the leadership stories, everything we hear about people who are successful, everything we read about people who have become something, starts from a person who aspired something. So like us, like me, and like-minded people, we have aspirations as well, but we have families and we have their unfulfilled aspirations on our shoulders. My question is that while we are joining the rat race of fulfilling their aspirations and sacrificing our aspirations, how are we supposed to become leaders by the success stories that we hear from you people? If there is no success story presented to us by the people who represent us, how are we supposed to get motivated by it?
Well, I think it's a very, very good question and a hard one. And I think ये problem सबके लिए होती है. हम भी बच्चे थे किसी वक्त, हमारे भी parents की कुछ ख्वाहिशें थी.
Exactly, sir. That's why I'm asking the question.
But the point is right, and we have our aspirations for our children. ये तो चलती रहेगी प्रथा, you know. But the point is very valid what you are raising. मैं उसके लिए एक सिर्फ बोलना चाहूँगा, एक मैसेज आप सबके लिए. If you have the luxury, and I'm using the word, if you have the luxury of doing what you like, as opposed to liking what you do, there's a big difference in this two sentences. If you have the luxury in doing what you love, that makes all the difference in life. That is the difference between a super success and an ordinary success. Most of the time, parents will keep pushing people, doctor bano, lawyer bano, engineer bano, government service में जाओ. And अगर दिल नहीं है, आपको धक्का मार के वहाँ पहुँचा दिया, तो आप एक ordinary success करेंगे. पर अगर आपके दिल से वो बात बन गई, if you and your parents can match and saying मेरे को डॉक्टर बनना है, तो आप बेस्ट डॉक्टर बनोगे. अगर आपको ये हो जाए कि मेरे को ये पर्टिकुलर चीज़ करनी है, तो मेरा ये मैसेज होगा आप सबके लिए, थोड़ी सी लड़ाई करिए अपने पेरेंट्स के साथ. कोई हर्जा नहीं है, उनको बताइए कि आप क्या चाहते हैं. और बहुत पेरेंट्स की भी क्या होता है, आई वॉन्ट माई चाइल्ड टू बी सेफ, उसको एक जॉब मिल जाए, उसकी ज़िंदगी ठीक बन जाए, और उसका भविष्य ठीक हो जाए. दे आर नॉट कमिंग फ्रॉम द रॉन्ग प्लेस, दे आर केयरिंग फॉर यू. बट इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट एंड टुडेज जनरेशन कैन डू दैट. हमारी जनरेशन में इतनी दम नहीं था हमारे को बात करने का. आप कर सकते हो. Even the parents are more evolved. They see internet, they see everything going on. They see startup stories. They see huge successes being built. और आप जो नए लोग अब काम कर रहे हैं उनको you can even get capital easily. So I think डर कम हो गया पेरेंट्स के माइंड में भी. They are seeing these success stories. पर बात करिए उनसे, बताइए आप क्या चाहते हैं. और ज़रूरी नहीं, जैसे एक्चुअली अश्विनी जी ने बोला था, ज़रूरी नहीं कि आपको एक ही चीज़ करनी है. आप आर्ट्स में जाइए, आप साइंस में जाइए, आप टेक्नोलॉजी में जाइए, आप कुछ भी करिए, पर जो भी करिए अच्छा करिए, बढ़िया करिए.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think I've exhausted my time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing such wonderful and insightful presentation. Can you have a huge round of applause for him? Thank you. And in order to present the token of gesture, I would now call upon Mr. Shashank Kumar. He has the 5 years of experience in political PR, journalism, and the social sector, working with union ministers. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, here we take a break for the lunch, and the speakers will be delegated by our volunteers, and so will be you. I request you to head on to the hall number, which is in the basement, and we'll come back within 55 minutes total time so that we can start the session exactly in 1 hour. Thank you.
I need some answer. Good afternoon. Thank you. I just wanted to see what's the energy level after having carbs and proteins and everything. So welcome back, and a couple of announcements to be made. Again, put your mobile phones on silent mode or vibrating mode. Also, refrain from asking questions other than the leadership qualities of the speakers. Do not judge their domain knowledge. They are here because they are the stalwarts in whatever area and domain they are in. Plus, be on time. We have to set the standards high that we are on time because you are the generation that's going to lead the world. So, refrain from being late. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to introduce a visionary leader, a dynamic entrepreneur, and a true champion of social transformation, Mr. Ajay Piramal. As the chairman of the Piramal Group, he leads a huge enterprise spanning financial services, pharmaceuticals, and real estate. His philosophy of trusteeship goes beyond business, driving impactful change through the Piramal Foundation, touching countless lives. So, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Mr. Ajay Piramal. Welcome, sir. Sir, you would like to have a hand mic for this?
I'll put this off, down. Hello? You don't need this. Good afternoon. the Vice Chairman of SOUL and the soul behind SOUL, Dr. Hasmukh Hadia, all the promoters of SOUL, and people and young fellows of the My Bharat Initiative, and ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me congratulate you, sir, for bringing what was the Prime Minister's vision into reality. It is difficult to bring such a concept, but a most important concept that you are bringing to life. So congratulations. Let's give him a big hand for that. When I see you all at the My Bharat initiative, sometimes I feel quite envious of you, because at the age that you're in, we did not have a Prime Minister spending so much time with us, whether it was on a whole day when he was talking to you or even today. So, but obviously you are the future, and it is a great honor to speak to you all. And I hope that I can make some difference in what we are saying. I want to begin with a story. And I'm going to begin with a story of Panini. Panini, as you know, was a great grammarian. Today, the laws of the grammar of the modern day Sanskrit was laid by him several centuries ago. And Panini went to a palmist when he was a young boy. And the palmist, he showed his hand that, please see my hand, my lines on the hand. And what he found was, the palmist told him that you have no line which talks about learning, about education, so you better take up something which is menial, some other profession, than doing, studies and learning. Panini was a bit disappointed, but still determined. So he went home, he took a knife and drew a line on his hand, and went and showed it to the palmist. Now do you see my learning line? So I think the lesson in this is important. That, many people say that our philosophy says that, okay, culture says ke jo bhi likha hai, jo bhi hoga, wo hone wala hai. That is not true. I think we can change, and by action, change what the future is going to be. The other, I want to also begin now with another quotation which has inspired me, and I thought I will share it with you, because today I'm told to speak on personal journey. So let me speak on this. This is a quote from the Upanishad, which has really deep meaning for me, and as I said, I'll share it with you. It says, "You are what your deep driving desire is. As is your desire, so is your will. As is your will, so is your deed. And as is your deed, so is your destiny." In other words, if you have a deep driving desire on one side, and you convert that to a strong will, and that with that will you do an action, then you can shape your own destiny. And believe me, when something like this is said in our scriptures, there's a lot of meaning and truth behind it. And at least I have found that in my own case, many times I've thought of it and it has come. What is important really is to see that the desire is not a selfish desire, but it's a desire which encompasses a lot of good. And therefore, to me, leadership, and you are all future leaders, leadership is setting up an inspiring vision for yourselves, inspiring vision for the people who you will lead or who you are leading. And that inspiring vision should be one which uplifts the people that whom you are leading. So, and it is based on purpose and values. Purpose is what we also learned today in the morning when Dr. Adya was speaking about soul. So what is purpose? I'll just share with you the purpose that we have set for our group. Our purpose is doing well and doing good and making a positive difference in the world around us by serving others based on values. So it's really, why do you have to do good and do well? Whatever you do, I think you have to be business. If you're doing business, a business can be a force of good. And therefore, here I have Pankaj Bhai sitting in front of me. When he is in the pharmaceutical space, just like we are, I think we are doing good in meeting the unmet medical needs of people by lifting people, by reducing the burden of disease. But you have to also perform well, because remember, profit is important. Profit is oxygen for doing good. But that is not the only reason for doing good. So it is a necessary condition for doing good, but it's not the only condition. And similarly, I mean, we are in the space of, say, financial services. There is a doing well because you provide loans. We are the largest loan giver for affordable housing. You are giving loans which enable a person to buy a house. So similarly, so we have to do that. At the same time, when you are doing anything good, very often, one also has to measure the impact of what is happening of good, because just good without impact is of no good. And therefore, in our foundation, since this is all personal, I'm sharing this, we have more than 5,000 people who are working in all over the country in the most difficult districts, the aspirational districts, tribal districts, making an impact which is measurable. The other thing I have learned in business is that in my life is that you have seen many other people like that, is that you have to have the courage to take the path less traveled. It doesn't mean that you have to just follow what everybody does. I know that at the time when we were studying, and many times later, people would say, engineer ban jao, become a doctor, become this, that. I don't think that is essential. What is important is to do what you think, what is your swadharma, or whatever you think that you're best suited for. And you have to take, to be successful, you have to take risks. And sometimes go on that path which nobody else does. Does it mean that every time you will be successful? No. Let me tell you, all of us make many, many mistakes. So to make a mistake is not wrong. I think probably I must have made more mistakes than have been right. But at the end of the day, you still keep trying and you will be successful. So courage is the other thing that I want to talk about. Today, when the Honorable Prime Minister spoke, what was said is that soul, we need to give our values. We need to talk about our values and experience and live them and set an example to the world. There are lots of challenges that are happening in the environment today. I mean, who would have thought that you would have COVID and the whole world would have come to a stop in 2 years, for 2 years, and you couldn't get out of the house for 3-4 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Who would have thought that there would be, before, as COVID was ending, you had the conflict, Ukraine and Russia. You had the Middle East. I mean, you can count thousands of such things. But some things remain constant. And we are talking, the Prime Minister said that we are talking of 21st century leadership. I'm going to talk to you about lessons which were probably 5,000 years ago. And you would wonder, why am I talking? I mean, here is the Prime Minister who obviously knows much more than I do, talking about 21st century leadership. And here I'm going to talk to you on 5,000, I don't know, even more years ago. And that's the lessons I want to share with you about the Gita, which is our unique gift to the world. And I think we should feel grateful that we are born in a country which has this. So the Gita is actually spoken by Lord Krishna in the midst of a battlefield. It's not spoken to the world's finest archer who is in his 20s. So it's not spoken, it's not somebody, an old person living on the banks of the Ganges or in the Himalayas, but it is in the midst of a battlefield. And the beauty is, it's as relevant today in the 21st century as it was when it was first spoken. And what are those lessons? The first, I would say, is a focus that we need to give on action and not on result. Take the example of a tree. If you start thinking that there's a tree, I want to get the fruit, I want to get the apple of the tree, what do you need to do? You need to first sow a seed, you need to water the plant, and then the fruit will come. You're not sure. It may come good, it may not be good. But what you have to do is to ensure that you put in the right amount of soil, you put in the right seed, the right fertilizer, and then the result will come. Similarly, in work, in life, we have to worry about the action, not the result. The action or the fruits of the action is only a result of what you have put in action. And that is so important. And that is what is so often said in the Gita. The second lesson that I have learned is on that one has to have equanimity. There will be highs and lows in our lives. There is never anybody, the most successful person, the most powerful person is also going to have highs and is also going to have lows. And I can guarantee you one thing, that all of us, all of you, and all of us here have also gone through that. But what is it that will distinguish us one from the other? And that is, at that time, how do you remain equanimous? It is like a storm which goes in the sea. After some time, the ocean still becomes still. That is what we all have to do. And if we do that, let me tell you that actually during the most challenging times is where you will find opportunities. It's not that challenges, it will be difficult when you're facing challenges. There will be fear. I mean, I've had times of anxiety, of stress, of anger. So many negative things go on when you have challenges. But if you have the inner strength, at the end of the day, it will settle down, and that is the time when you see opportunities. I can give you our own example. We were in the financial services space, or we are still, and it was during COVID. In COVID, there was a lot of stress. People whom you have lent to, you have lent large amounts of money, were not in a position to repay you. But you had to repay your banks, and there was so much of pressure, and therefore it was a time of stress and anxiety. But as I said, the Lord opens another door. If He closes all the doors, He opens one more. And that is what happened. We had an option to look at acquire it was the largest actually acquisition done in the financial space of a company called DHFL. So why does it happen? Because even during that time of the challenges, we still had some inner strength, some stability to see at another option. And this will happen to all of us. So let's look at a challenge also as a good thing. Sometimes it's a blessing to see that as an opportunity to do something else. A third thing, and I see that even in the soul, when all the literature of soul talks about integrity, the importance of integrity. What is integrity? Integrity is alignment between what you think, what you do, and what you say. If you have that alignment, then people will trust you. That is when you become authentic. That is when people, as a leader, will respect you. And I have seen this in business. In so many occasions, I have seen that when you do exactly what you have said and you do the same, you will be successful. So that, to me, is another one which is important. I think the fourth value for me, which is eternal, is humility. Humility is really recognizing that there are so many people who know much more about so many subjects than what we do. This comes in even most important when we are successful. Whether you're successful when you're young, whether you're successful when you're old, if you are successful, there is a tendency to be arrogant. And that is the time we have to understand that anybody who is arrogant will not succeed. And I'll give you our own example. You know, again, in 2010, we had done a transaction. Part of our business in pharmaceuticals, we had sold to a multinational. That was the highest valuation anybody had got in the world for a pharmaceutical business. So after that, I think all of us, or at least I believe all of us, our teams also got a little arrogant. Okay, whatever we can do, we can walk on water virtually. And that's when you start making mistakes. And we did. And we had to suffer. There were so many people who were telling us, this is not right, don't do this. But I say, who knows? Do you know more than I do? No, you don't. So again, I think please remember humility. By the way, all these values I'm saying, there are specific shlokas in the Gita. If somebody writes to me, I can give you the Gita, but I don't want to talk about that now. But all this is not my learning. I'm just picking up from what the Gita teaches us, which is the concept that we have to be humble. Another thing I would say is that a leader must be vulnerable. Some of us feel that a leader has to be strong and cannot have any weakness. But please understand, in human life, all of us have some vulnerability, however strong I may be in public. And if you express that vulnerability, that just makes you more honest with people, and people can relate to you because they feel you're one of us. You're not different, you're not God, that you cannot have fear, you cannot have sadness, you cannot have joy. So vulnerability for a leader is important. I want to give another thing that I have learned, is that association with a good person. Whether that person is a guide, mentor, guru, whatever it is, somebody who is good. That person you have to find, you're fortunate to find, otherwise you have to seek that person. And why is that important? Because, in life, all of us are going through a slippery slope. And at times, you may slip. And that's the time when you need somebody to tell you. The key thing, I think, of a leader, of a guide, mentor, guru, is that person doesn't want you for your power, your money, or something else. should be selfless. That person only wants your good. Please find that person and listen to that person. It is so important. At every stage of life, it comes to benefit. I want to end my values by talking about being grateful. Today, I think, first of all, why should we be grateful? We should be grateful because think of it. You have taken millions of rebirths to be born as a human being. We should be grateful because we are today where we are, the families we have been born in. We are grateful that you are here today, the education you have got, the opportunity you have served, to come here or to be in this My Bharat initiative. I mean, these are all things which most people, 8 billion people in the world, how many would have? Therefore, we have to be grateful. We have to be grateful, and we should learn from nature that because we are grateful, we'll be happy and we need to give back. Look at nature. Every day we are consuming things from nature, and nature is giving it to you selflessly. Whether it is water, whether it is food. And the most important example was during COVID. People, you may have had all the money in the world, but what were you really yearning and desperate for was oxygen. And we have oxygen all the time, free. And that time you're willing to pay millions. Why? Nature is giving it to us. So I think we owe it to nature to give back something so that you can make, at least you're not only a consumer of the resources of nature, but you are also giving back to nature. Finally, I have a view on what the name soul is. I think I was discussing with the Vice Chairman, Dr. Adia, and he was saying that how the Prime Minister gave the word soul. I believe, I don't know, I've not spoken to the Prime Minister on this, that the soul is actually mentioned in the school of ultimate leadership, is really mentioned in the Gita. There is a verse in chapter 3, 42nd verse, which I want to bring to your mind, to your attention. It says that a human being has senses, but senses are led by the mind. The mind is led by the intellect, and the intellect is led by the soul. So, this is why I think what the soul really stands for is that we have all the senses, the mind, the intellect are really under the soul. And we have to do, as human beings, as the ultimate leadership, we have to do what the soul is happy with. And what is the soul? What is the dharma of the soul? Just like the salinity of water is the soul. If you have salt, only salty water is only if there's salt in it. Or sweetness, anything sweet, the dharma of the sweetness is sugar or sweet. Similarly, the dharma of the soul is to be selfless service, to have compassion, and to have love. And that is what, when ultimate leadership, when the Prime Minister was talking about seva, I think the ultimate leadership is that person who works on the soul to see, and the dharma of the soul, as I said, is seva, it is karuna, and it is prem. Thank you. Yeah, say. Just give a brief background. Yeah. So as I said, I spoke about my failure, is that at the time when you're very successful, I was not humble. So humility, the lack of humility meant that you had to do many things, you did many wrong things. And when people were not where you were not listening to the wise people, to your well-wishers. So that humility is one example. But I have so many places where I made mistakes. So it's not, but if you ask me one, this is the most I can think of today. So please understand, you have to make mistakes. I made many, many in my life at least.
Thank you. Sir.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, from our perspective.
What's your name? Give me your name.
So I'm Yash Jindal. I'm from Chhattisgarh. So your success is remarkable. And what I want to ask you is, being where you are right now, what really drives you and what challenges do you feel? Because from here, it's easy to see that now you have made it in life. You know, there's the fascination of the term billionaire. You have made it, you're a successful businessman. But what drives you more every morning? What do you look up to?
So every morning, I don't want to, okay, with all due modesty, I believe that today the world has given me much more than what I have given back. So therefore, how do you give back? And today, as I said, I'm grateful for all the privileges that I have. But there are most people, I must be the 0.01% of the population. How can you uplift people so that they have a better standard of living? I went to the Kumbh just a few days ago. I mean, I saw old people walking for 20 kilometers, carrying all their saman, vaman and all that. And, you know, we just whiz past by car. So we are so privileged to improve their lives.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir. I'm Saim Jain from Land of 100 Islands, Banswara, Rajasthan. Sir, you have often spoken about long-term value creation. But, sir, my question to you is, how do you cultivate a long-term vision within your organization, especially in today's fast-paced, short-term focused business environment, and that will continue to inspire generations? How do you cultivate that long-term vision? Thank you, sir.
I believe that whatever be fast-paced today, if you have to create value, you have to look at the long term. That is what a leader does. And for that long-term, to have a long-term vision, first of all, it has to be a vision which is inspiring for people. And it cannot be a selfish vision. If I say I want to be the richest man in the world, XYZ in the world, nobody cares. My people will say, you go fly a kite. It is that it has to be an inspiring vision. It has to be an all-encompassing vision. And it has to be based on values and purpose. If it is there, then let me tell you that in the long term, a value-based business will create more economic value than a short-term based business. And I can give you 100 examples of that.
Thank you, sir.
Sir. Sir.
I think you direct the questions, otherwise yeah.
Okay. No, you continue.
Now you continue, so we're done with this side then we'll go that side.
Okay. Namaskar, sir. My name is Divya Negi, and I had been a Gandhi Fellow. And as you have witnessed the growth of hundreds of Gandhi Fellows who are actually working as change leaders on ground, I have one very simple question, which is that in a world where collaboration is a key, how can young leaders like us can balance the cultivation of individual initiative with the power of collective action?
Actually, first of all, I'm glad that I met a few other Gandhi Fellows. Just for those who don't know, the Gandhi Fellowship is something we do for 2 years, young people, graduates, postgraduates. And we were inspired by the same sentence which today Prime Minister spoke, that give me 100 young leaders and it'll change the country. We are hoping, we've now got how many? About 4,000. So we are hoping that 100 of you will change this country. But yeah, so I think it's always better. It is collective which makes the difference. Individual cannot. You can see it's like in a tug of war, you have collectively on one side and individual on the other. Who will win? So there is nothing. And in collective, it also means giving up your self-ego and working for the larger good. If you work for the larger good, you'll have people collecting together. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Prakriti Singh from Gujarat. Sir, how do you deal with disappointments and disagreements in leadership even when the situation is not in our control? Also, we being a youth, what is the primary thing that we should consider while going on the path of the leadership?
So first of all, as I said, there will be disappointment, there will be difficulties. You know, when we talk about Ramayana and Mahabharata and Krishna stories, these are not stories, they're all lessons. Did Ram go through difficulties or not, though he was the Lord himself? Krishna, did he go through difficulties? He was born in a jail. Yes. And when he was like 3-4 months, he was going to be killed so many times. So what they're trying to, the lesson that we are learning is that all of us have to go through difficulties. There is not a single person who doesn't go through. But you have to be strong to bear it. And you know, this too will pass. That is the only thing. And when you look back, you'll see that it was not as difficult as you experienced while going through. So I think that's the only thing. You have to say that I will get through this. Look at examples of people who are successful. They've all gone through that. So that was your first part. Second was?
Second is, we being a youth, what is the primary thing we should consider while going on the path of leadership?
So first of all, leadership, the path will come. I think you have to strengthen some of the values I said to you. Yeah. And do what you'll have to excel in whatever you are doing. And to excel in something, you have to do what your swadharma is or what your passion for is, what you really want to do and like. Then you will be successful.
Thank you, sir.
Just last question, please.
Good afternoon, sir. So myself, Suraj Sharma from Himachal Pradesh. So, sir, my question is very simple, sir. It is regarding the mindset that you have. So mindset that you have, that you are standing there and we are sitting here. So can you tell me what mindset you go through that makes you different from the masses? That is the biggest question from my side. And that makes you different from us, and we can also in the near future stand there and can
I don't know to say that I'm standing on a podium and therefore I have a better mindset than yours. That's not true at all. I think all of us have the potential to do what we want to do. And I think some of the values that, at least in my life, I found that they have worked for me. I share it with you. But it's each one has to decide on what is really relevant for them.
So, sir, when the challenges hits you hard in your life, so, sir, how do you deal it? And how can you inspire the youth? How can you inspire me and all of us regarding how to deal with the challenges?
The previous question was similar. There will be challenges in life. What you have to do is to remember that if you are tough, you will be able to survive that. And every challenge, there is some opportunity. It's like the last thing I want to say. Example, if you go on a flight, there is turbulence in the flight. You know, it goes up, down, up, down. Look at some people. There are some people who are very relaxed in spite of turbulence. There are others who are praying to all the gods, they are everything they are doing. Why is that? It's the same environment outside. They are all going through turbulence. Certain people are stable, equanimous in that. Others are stressed. You have to be the person who's enjoying a meal, listening, seeing a movie on the flight rather than fretting and fuming. Yeah? Okay.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your invaluable and visionary insights and also the contributions to the business and philanthropy. Can we give a big round of applause to him? Thank you. And I now request Mr. Dhaval Gorfad, he's an entrepreneur with 6 years of diverse experience in project management, to kindly present a token of gesture to sir. Dhaval has completed his BTech in Aerospace Engineering and an MBA in International Business. Please, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. We now move on to a session. And this is the first fireside chat. With us is a gentleman who tells us that every move in life is highly important. Agree? Okay. Presenting, ladies and gentlemen, a chess prodigy who has made history. Reigning world chess champion and youngest ever world champion at just 18, India's #1 by live ratings. And the youngest winner of the Candidates Tournament 2024. A two-time Olympiad gold medalist on the first board, leading India to victory in Budapest 2024 and Chennai 2022, plus a silver medalist at the 2022 Asian Games. Let's welcome the pride of Indian chess, Mr. Gukesh Domaraju. Welcome, sir. Welcome. And second, we have a trailblazer in Indian journalism, Mr. Rahul Kanwal. Welcome, sir. As news director at Aaj Tak and India Today and executive director at Business Today, he leads investigative journalism and digital innovation, reaching over 400 million consumers. His sharp insights and fearless storytelling continues to shape the media landscape. Please help me welcome Mr. Rahul Kanwal. Welcome, sir. You can take your seats, please. Thank you. And to moderate this session, we have a heartfulness practitioner and trainer, Jatin Khurana, who embodies mindful leadership and purposeful growth. As the founder of Polar AI, he is revolutionizing conversational AI for D2C and hospitality brands. He also leads Rever, a government-backed platform empowering over 5,000 Tier 2 and 3 startup founders with equal access to resources. Please help me welcome Jatin Khurana to moderate the session. Welcome, Jatin. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. You guys are tired? We just see such good, esteemed guests here. Let's just welcome them once again with a huge round of applause. So, we have heard such great speakers since morning, and of course, our esteemed Prime Minister. But now it's a time where we explore the more human side, the more chatty side of these two esteemed guests that we have. So before we begin, I would just like to ask both of you a very simple question on the theme of soul. What is leadership to the two of you?
Hi everyone, first of all, it's very nice being here. And yeah, leadership for me, from a sporting perspective, I can say that, for example, I mean, chess is an individual sport, but we do have team sports like in the Olympiad. And I found leadership as, being, playing in the top board myself. It's not only about thinking about yourself, you do your best, but also you think about the others, you show the way for the other people to follow and just set a good example that others can look up, and that's what I think, like what I have learned about leadership in sports is that one.
Thank you.
First and foremost, I wanted to say congratulations and thank you to Hasmukh Bhai, to Sudhir Bhai, and to the entire board of SOUL for the effort that they're putting in bringing this School of Leadership together. I remember in about 2007, then Chief Minister of Gujarat, Narendra Modi ji, said that मैंने सुना है आपका फाइनेंस में बिजनेस में इंटरेस्ट है आप वापस जाते जाते देखो मैं वहाँ पे गिफ्ट सिटी बना रहा हूँ. So I was in a hurry, as journalists always are when they're covering elections. I said, हाँ अगली बार देखनी से नहीं मेरे को वापस मत जाना आप जाके देखना इसको. So anyway, so we went to what was supposed to be Gift City and it was completely barren and there was nothing there, absolutely barren. And the officer who was tasked to speak to me said, यहाँ से नदी आएगी, यहाँ पे ऐसे हो. I said, नदी आएगी, कहाँ से नदी? It's like all barren, marshy land. And over the years, he persevered, right? And now, as you go to Ahmedabad, I'm sure many of you have, you would see the magic that Hasmukh Bhai and the Prime Minister and everybody working on that project have created. I think that at some level, to come back to your question on leadership, is a reflection of setting an objective and then finding a path to be able to get there despite the odds. For many years, and so many people are sitting here, you would have heard the snide comments, the criticism कि पागल हो गए न्यूयॉर्क छोड़ के बॉम्बे छोड़ के कौन आएगा यहाँ पे तो कुछ भी नहीं है यहाँ तो अल्कोहल भी नहीं मिलती कोई बैंकर नहीं आके काम करेगा. But he just persevered. Now if you go there, you've got so many different real estate companies and banks from across the country. It's the one place where you've got an incredible amount of diversity of opinion altogether. I think that is in some ways, and since we are here at SOUL and this is going to be at the Gift City, reflective of just leadership. And as you grow in life, all of us, teams become more complex and it's just much tougher to get things done. So to me, leadership, a leader is really like a tree of life where people come to you with their questions and their concerns and you're able to show them the path and help them. You will never be so smart with all the innovations that are happening in artificial intelligence and everything else that's going on, to be able to answer every question yourself. How is it that you can just charge the people who come to you, direct them, and that's what Mr. Piramal and so many other people are so renowned for being able to do. Just show them the path, show them the objective and help them get there. That too, it's much more than doing things yourself. It's about helping people and facilitating things so they can go out and get it done.
Lovely. So it's more about showing the people, the team, the way, and so that they get it done entirely. And as we talk about the leadership qualities, and we have seen so many people here, there's one very common thing with every leader, with every successful leader, is that they tend to stay calm during stressful situations, right? Because be it chess or journalism, if one move goes wrong, I mean, the entire story just ends there. Right? So how do you both manage to stay calm in such situations, and does that affect your leadership?
Yeah, for sure. In chess, you need to be patient and calm. In any sport at a very high level, the margin of error is very, very small, and the same in chess. And I think there have been many examples of great players who couldn't make it, make it to the very top because they were not able to manage their emotions at the critical moments. And I think for me as well, when I was younger, I used to be very emotionally unstable, and if I lose a game, I can't focus well on the next game. And if there's a very important game, I try to I was just very impatient. And then I just thought about it, and some of my trainers recommended that I start some mindfulness practices and some meditation, stuff like that. After I did that, now I'm able to, when my heart races in those critical moments, I'm able to be aware of that, and I'm able to calm myself down before I make a critical decision. So yeah, it surely helps, and just being aware of what you're feeling and trying to just focus on the present moment is what has helped me.
Were you also calm when you won the championship? Please say no.
No, I think I was trying to be calm. It's hard in such a high level situation. You do get affected by all the noise and all the pressure that there is. But I think I think I was mostly aware of what I was feeling, and I was aware that this is normal and I just have to focus on the game. So yeah, just that awareness was, I think, quite high in that sense.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
You know, I have meditation music playing in my mind all the time. This is something I learned from Sachin Tendulkar. I asked him the same question, how do you stay calm? He just zones everything else out. So you zone out all distractions as you can. For example, when the Delhi election results were about to be counted, the couple of days before that, all the netas were going crazy, right? I don't want to name anybody, but whether it was BJP or Aam Aadmi Party, since so much was at stake, they were just screaming, shouting, getting angry. They were just very excited and charged up, and basically going crazy themselves and driving everybody else crazy. And I was just constantly just telling myself, हमारे लिए कुछ चेंज नहीं होने वाला, ये आपस में लड़ रहे हैं, ये भी जीतेंगे, उन्होंने भी गाली देनी है, वो भी जीतेंगे, उन्होंने भी गाली. So how do you just stay calm regardless of what's happening around you? So you stay focused on your objective, which is to try and go out and do the best that you can. And all the distraction around you, just try and zone out of it. It takes some time. It doesn't happen immediately. Like in cricket, they say it's about being in the zone. So as long as you're in the zone, you're having fun, you're focused on what you need to know, and everything else is just noise. You just let the noise be. You're in your bubble. You're going out and having fun. And that, to my mind, is over the years what I've learned the best way of dealing with stress. If you get agitated, ये जीत गया तो क्या होगा, वो जीत गया, आपका कुछ नहीं होगा, उन्हीं का होगा जो होगा. You just do your work and you do it as well as you can, and let them fight amongst themselves, right?
Lovely. So, one is staying calm, right, during tough situations. The other thing is, so there's a very big difference between staying calm during tough situations, and the other thing would be dealing with something like a failure, right? And I'm sure all of us here, and like हमसे ज़्यादा तो आप लोग ही, you must have dealt with so many failures, and then you are still you've come to this pinnacle, right? And you've achieved this stage. So how do you deal with those? And what are the actual practical points that we can actually list down? And if someone would want to actually note it down, that tomorrow if they're facing a failure, how do they come back stronger?
Yeah, for me, failure has always been like a place where I can improve myself. I mean, there is a famous saying in chess that, like, in general, we think, when things are not going well, that we are not doing the right things. But it doesn't always mean that. I mean, even when we are doing all the right things, sometimes the result is not in our control. So sometimes we fail. But as long as we know that we are working hard, we are being disciplined, and we are being honest with our work, the results, they come and go. So what's important is to focus on the process, and that's what I've been trying to do myself. I've had, for example, when I was trying to qualify for the candidates, I had a very rough patch, and that phase really helped me to, I keep thinking to myself, if I didn't have that rough patch, I probably wouldn't have become the world champion. So I think the failures they teach you lessons which nothing else can. So,
but how do you deal with those failures? What are those things that you do at that time? What are those? You wake up early at 6 a.m. That's all our parents tell. Subah jaldi uthe to dekho, right? So what do you do? What are the actionable points?
Like, for example, I mean, when you fail, you look back on that without any guilt or regret. You just look back at it from an objective point of view, and then you try to draw the lessons. Because if you lose a game, it's not because it just happened. You made some mistakes, and mistakes are not avoidable, but you can try to make them less. So, for example, when I was doing all this mistakes, I mean, in this rough patch, I realized I was not being objective. I was being overconfident because, I mean, I had a very good run before the final moments where I was about to qualify, and then I got overconfident. I was being careless. I was not taking objective decisions. And then it was a huge lesson which still stays with me, that, like, no matter what happened in the previous game, no matter how well you played in the previous game or how badly you played, what matters is that you go to the board and you make the best move from an objective point of view. So no matter who you are, only if you make good moves, you can win. So that was something which like I tell myself to keep myself like grounded and not get ahead of myself. That is one lesson that I have drawn from failures. But obviously for each person the lesson will be different, and just to look at it from an objective point of view and try to draw from it is I think the best way to go about it.
You know, learning how to deal with failure, to my mind, is as important as dealing with success. All of you are here have obviously done something right, which is why you've been chosen to be here. So this can count as a successful milestone in your lives, right? But as you build businesses, as you create new projects, as you work on different things, there will inevitably be things that go wrong. And a lot of people like yourselves who are sitting here who are successful don't know how to deal with failure. So the first thing I say is just acknowledge the reality that as you grow in life and do different things, there will be things which don't go right, which don't happen the way that you want, and you will have failure. It could be a big failure, it could be a small failure, but you will have setbacks. Learning how to deal with those is very crucial. I think we should celebrate and acknowledge failure. The problem is in India, typically, society is engineered and DNA'd in a way that somebody who fails, if a startup goes bust or you try something, it doesn't happen, people mock or laugh at, what went wrong. The reverse should be true. If somebody's got something wrong, they try to build a business, it didn't happen, he's actually learned more in that process, which equips him for his next inning. Something going wrong teaches you so much, teaches you as much as something going right. Because if it goes right, it could just be being at the right place at the right time. It could be a fluke. Something going wrong has taught you a very real lesson. And here I just want to cite something that, the late Arun Jaitley ji told us. When things go wrong, or, you're not having good patch in your career, in your business, people start speaking against the system, right? They get very bitter. If in a political context, if things are not going well, you start publicly speaking against the party or the system that you're a part of. And Jaitley ji said, and it stayed with me for a long time, that that's amongst the worst things you can do. Because the fact that something has gone wrong for you at this moment, something you want is not happening, is only known to you and to the few people who could give it to you, right? Nobody else knows about it. The more bitter you get, the more you start talking, the more you communicate to everybody else that something is wrong, ki iski wicket abhi kharab hai, iska nahi time acha chal raha, whatever. The more it comes into limelight, the more you just keep your head down and let the storm pass. The storm will pass and you can recover. I mean, take someone like a Parvesh Verma from the last couple of months. His Lok Sabha ticket got cancelled, right? That's at some level failure because he wasn't deemed good enough to get the ticket again. A few months later, he was told that he has to fight against Arvind Kejriwal. If he at that time got bitter and started speaking against the system, he would not have had the opportunity. So like there is failure, if you just put your head down, start trying to improve yourself, success will come. You don't know why that ticket was taken away. You don't know why you were chosen to fight against Kejriwal, but it is part of the cycle of life. So don't get bitter. Don't start speaking against the people you work with, because then failure can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. You do something goes wrong, you make the wrong moves, you get bitter, and it kind of takes you down. If something goes wrong and you keep your head, from there you can recover and bounce back very quickly. So I think learning how to deal with failure is almost as important as not getting carried away when you succeed.
So learning and just, I think observing yourself during the time of failure also helps a lot. That's what tells you what not to do in the future, right? Coming to the aspect of leadership again, right? And especially when you're dealing with a team, right? And you're not alone. So in a team, and I think this question is pointed more to you, Rahulji. In a team, you have people with very different mindsets and very different belief systems. How do you make sure as the leader that all of you work as a unit? That is one. And all of you work towards the same goal and achievement of that particular goal.
I want to quote to you what, there was this big fight going on between Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, and there was a lot of ego and showmanship. So I asked somebody, and I won't name him, but basically I asked somebody, "Inka to jhamela chal raha hai, how do you deal with it? Like, how do you keep this under control, this showmanship?" He said something very important. He was one of the most important coaches we've had. He said that they walk into the cricket field with different objectives, right? They're coming from different worldviews. Some corporates are backing this guy, some corporates are backing this guy, one IPL franchise. So there's a lot of money and there's a lot of vanity at stake. But the most important thing is that when the cricket ball goes up in the air and it's going towards long on and you're standing below and trying to catch it, do both those cricketers want the same thing, which is that that catch should be caught and that India should win the match. So the point that I'm trying to make is don't look for people who look like yourself or act like yourself or think like yourself or talk like yourself when you're building teams. Having diversity is very crucial. The ability to work with different kinds of people. For example, when I was on campus at the Harvard Business School, it was a very big learning experience initially because our cohort, it's called a living group of 8 people, had people from Jordan, people from Saudi Arabia, people from Japan, people from Africa, people from Europe. And each country and each nationality has their own value system, their own style of working. Somebody can only work if he's drinking wine. Somebody wants to have a cigar. Somebody wants to stay till late. Somebody wants to start at 6 in the morning. Somebody says, nahi, raat mein khatam karo, sona hai, subah nahi utenge. Each country has a different style. Now, how do you bring all those people together and work with them? That is very crucial. So what happens is people, when they're building teams, typically make the mistake of finding people like themselves. Those teams are very incestuous and inward looking. The more diversity you have in your teams, the more different perspectives you have. And as leaders, having people who challenge you, getting on board people who are smarter than you, who can push you, because it's called the hippo phenomena, right? The highest paid person's opinion. And people like to think if they are the leader, if they are the boss, then everybody else should be subordinate to them. You don't want to hire smarter people. That's the worst thing you can do. The best thing you can do, and if you look at leadership across, the best thing you can do is find people smarter than you and make them a part of your team. If you think that they will stand up because you say stand up and sit down because you say sit down, they may not. Because they're smart people, they'll have a mind of their own. The ability to work with them. For example, in our newsroom, we have Sudhir Chaudhary, right, who's as right of center as right of center can be, and we have Rajdeep, who's kind of left of center. So how do you take everyone along? Because if you want to start fighting, you can fight every day. How do you traverse a cross-section of different kinds? I gave the example of political opinion, but it's the same in business. Somebody can be very conservative, somebody can be a big risk taker. How do you take them along in terms of decision making? That is the ultimate litmus test of leadership. And I have this one instance which I saw with my own eyes, and since the PM was here and I saw the kind of commitment he had towards what he was doing, but this SOUL project is really one of his pet ideas, right? And he sat and he listened. Hasmukh Saab showed him the whole project. I saw him in New York. He was doing yoga, right? This is at 7 in the morning. This is the first International Yoga Day. And he was doing yoga so seriously. He was sweating. Now, this is basically International Yoga Day, so it's just like an exhibition, right? It's not your actual exercise which you would do in the morning when you take it seriously. And everybody around him, Richard Gere was there, others were there, and a lot of young kids in his team were there. They were all doing yoga upar se, thoda thoda aise. The PM was doing it so seriously. He was sweating. I was standing next to him, he had sweat coming out of his shirt, his face. He was doing it very seriously. There is a lesson there. Take everything that you do seriously and do the best that you can. A lot of people just kind of want to tick a box and get away, right? I came here, I did some session, I went away. That I think is the wrong approach. If you came here, I hope that of all the people that you hear, and if I say 10 things, there's something that stays with you, which you take back with you, right? That is important. I think you saw that from the Prime Minister when he came. Look at the amount of effort he made in bringing that speech together, right? There's a lot of effort that came across. That's the effort that they make. And if, despite how busy he is, he can make that effort, I think there's a lesson for a lot of young people. Even when you take an exam, sometimes you take an exam, you say, Chalo, let me just do the best I can. I don't have to ace it, right? The other approach is, I want to give this exam the best that I can. I want to give it as much, I may not get 100 marks, but I want to give it as much I can. I think that is a great lesson, that you try to do the best you can in every circumstance.
Thank you so much. So now moving on towards a bit of more lighter note, let's have a small rapid fire round. Would that be okay? I can't hear you. Yes. I still can't hear you. Yes. Oh, I heard you. Okay. Thank you. So Gukesh, we'll start with you. Okay. What is that one everyday thing you are surprisingly bad at?
Waking up on time.
Okay. What's scarier? A tough end game or a public speaking gig?
Probably public speaking.
Okay. If you could steal one skill from any chess legend or a grandmaster, who and what would it be?
Magnus's endgame skills.
Okay. Okay, what is your go-to hype song before any big game or a tournament?
Before games, I don't listen much, but in general, I like some Ed Sheeran songs.
Ed Sheeran? Okay.
Or Arjit Singh. Yeah, depends on my mood.
Okay, this is very diverse. I mean, nice. Okay. So, chess, is it an art, science, or is it pure mind games?
I think it's mostly a sport nowadays because the playing field, I mean, everyone has the same materials and the playing level is very level. So, it's mostly a sport, I would say.
Okay. And finally, if not chess, or if you were not in chess, what would you have done? Which career path would you have chosen?
Probably some sport. I like some racket sports, but okay, I haven't thought about it seriously at all. So.
Oh, thank God. I thought you were going to say doctor or something like
No.
engineer.
Both my parents are doctors, so I don't think I would have.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. So, yes, Rahulji, coming to you. So, you ask very hard questions to a lot of people for a living, right? You keep asking them these questions, and I see them sweat sometimes on television as well. What's the one question you hope no one ever asks you?
You know, can you sing a song or can you dance? So I was doing this interview with Kriti Sanon, right? The Bollywood star. So we had an interaction, everything's going well. And then there was this one occasion where she was going to dance. So she, said, you dance with me. I said, nahi, main nahi kar sakta. It is impossible. So it freaks me out. I mean, in any case, if the lights are dim and it's in the evening, I still have difficulty dancing. I have 3 left feet. 2 you can see and 1 you can't, right? But it trips me over all the time. But that freaks me out. Koi bol de ki gana ga do, ya koi bol de ki dance kar lo, it spooks me like terribly, unfortunately.
Okay. If you could swap lives with one of your interviewee for a day, who would that be and why?
I think Amit Shah, and I'll tell you why. Because his mind works so fast and in so many different ways. नहीं, पर आपने सुना ही नहीं मैं क्यों बोल रहा हूँ. So we went to Karnataka in this one constituency where the BJP was going to lose. Okay, it was clear as day to a blind person also that they were going to lose. He spent so much time and energy in that seat. And I'm thinking, ये हार रहे इतना यहाँ पे इतना tight fight है इतना effort क्यों कर रहे हैं? I later asked him. He says, no, 3 elections later, अगले election में ऐसे होगा, उसके बाद JDS यहाँ पे क्रम्बल कर जाएगी, उसके बाद ये आदमी जो तुमने देखा ना जो तीसरी रो में खड़ा था, उस आदमी को मैं टिकट दूंगा, वो लड़ेगा और फिर हम यहाँ पे तीसरे इलेक्शन में जीतेंगे. I think the only other people who think like that are the Chinese. If you read Chinese thought, they're thinking 15, 20, 25, 30 years ahead, right? In India, strategic thought is usually just from one quarter to quarter in business and one election to the next in politics. The fact that he's thinking 3 elections ahead when I don't even know what the hell I will be doing is just something I find remarkable. So I want to see what's actually going on inside that brain, yeah.
Well, speaking about Chinese, our own Gukesh just beat one of them at the at the strategic game with being moves ahead. So thank you so much. And yes, the next question to you would be, if you could cover any historical event, live, historical, which one would it be?
I don't know how anybody would feel about it. It's a very, it's a very evocative thing and provocative from different perspectives. But the demolition of the Babri Masjid. Now, the reason I say that is because so much changed on that day, and in good ways, in bad ways, in terrible ways. Just, I think, having a ringside account to those developments would have been quite remarkable. I'm not in any way justifying what happened. That's not the idea. I'm just saying, you said what would be just incredible to see happen in front of you as a reporter, as a storyteller. And since it shaped Indian politics and society for decades after that, that would have been quite the moment to just see unfold in terms of what actually happened at that time.
And finally, the last question. What is your favorite song? And please sing it for us.
ये moderator अच्छा है, हाँ? लगता थोड़ा सा मासूम type का. There's no way I can sing. You know, when I was in class 5,
Sir, public's demand, sir.
It's impossible. I can leave, I can apologize, I can say, Hasmukhji, I'm really sorry, I need to run. I was in a choir, and I was such a bad singer that they asked me, "Ab aise muh hilao, gana nahi." So they basically told me, don't sing. So since then I've been scarred. I would never do this. But I have something which I hope to leave you with before we end, right? And this is based on years of going to places like the Davos World Economic Forum, or going to the India Today Conclave, and all of you being here at the SOUL Leadership event, which is how do you maximize your presence here, right? Now there's so many people who've come here. What is the one lesson or tip that you can keep about ensuring that you've used your time here best, right? And I think that is to do with cultivating a good network. And a lot of people learn finance, they learn leadership, they learn accounting in college. They don't learn about how to build networks and connections. And that, I think, is the most important thing which really should be taught in business school. And I hope that at some point in time at an institute like SOUL, because see, a lot of people are taking selfies, coming in. Those are very superficial and inconsequential. How can you build real connections with three kinds of people, right? People who are at your level, so all the youth delegates who are sitting here, how many people can you make lifelong connections with? One is, okay, saath mein photo खींच लिया, खाना खा लिया, खाना, and then that's the end of it. How many people can build a connection with somebody sitting in this room right now, a connection which lasts them forever? If you're, for example, from Ahmedabad, you go to Kolkata, can you find somebody here who you've bonded with and connected with in a very deep way, who becomes your contact in Kolkata forever? And I think the mistake that people make there is they start thinking of networking as a way of going up the career ladder, or networking as a bad thing which lobbyists do. It's not. How do you make real, genuine connections? So one is with peers like yourself, the other is with people above you. For example, those like Sudhir Bhai and the others sitting in the front row. How can you connect with him in a way that he says, okay, when you come to Ahmedabad, come see my facility, or come have a cup of tea, or see what we're doing. Do you have the ability to build that connection? What does it take? And the only way to do that is by being genuine. If you try and be somebody you are not, it's never going to work. If you are your genuine self and you're able to connect, like some people you'll see in a superficial way getting invited to all the big parties, right? And some people don't, and the ones who don't wonder, usko kaise bulaya mujhe? That's just one way. The other is that if somebody is looking to fund or finance somebody's business, some people are being able to make it happen, and some people may have the idea but not find the funding. What is it that they're doing right, and what is it that it is the power of developing a healthy network. And I think reading about that, working on that constantly is the biggest investment that you can make in yourself. You know, learning about finance, accountancy, etc. is all important. Learning about how to build a genuine network that can come to your aid and can help you move faster in life is a very important life skill. That all of you will see as you go in life. Some people from here will grow really fast and make a very big name for themselves, and some people may appear bright to you right now but may not grow as much. And as you evaluate why one person got ahead and the other didn't, oftentimes you'll find it's the network that they were able to build for themselves which separates those who are good and get ahead and those who are very good but don't get ahead. Because you don't win in life, you don't succeed in life because you are good. You win or you succeed in life because there are people around you who want to help you win and succeed. Till you are able to build those connections, that genuine network where you have people's goodwill and they want you to win and succeed, you won't be. So as you work on yourself in terms of financial skills or economic skills or whatever skills you're developing, work also on the softer aspect of building genuine connections and networks amongst the delegates and amongst people who are both below you and above you. Make the effort of trying to teach what you've learned to people below you. You will earn their goodwill and their respect, which will be the most invaluable thing that you can take, because you got people who are cheering for you, they've got goodwill in their heart. When you go out and do well, they want you to succeed. That doesn't seem like money, but to my mind, it's more valuable than money.
So, one last question. Which is your favorite song?
I am actually blind to all songs. I was a bit of a geek growing up, so I used to read a lot of books. And my father's an author. He used to write books on national defense strategy, security, nuclear architecture and stuff. So growing up, I was reading that kind of stuff. When it comes to movies, and there's some movie people are referencing, I'm blank. I have no idea because I haven't, like, I honestly haven't seen. But they're like, but how could you not have seen this movie? I said, nahi dekhi, main kya kar, like, how I. So when it's music or songs or movies, unfortunately, I'm really, really bad. The worst thing I can do is to pretend that I know because I don't. And I think if you don't know, you should say nahi aata. हर चीज को dance भी करना है, गाना भी गाना नहीं आना. जो नहीं आता बोलना चाहिए कि नहीं आता.
So thank you so much for answering these questions very honestly and teaching us a lot through this panel. And I think we've come to the end of it. And I would like to thank all the audience as well for being really, really good.
Jatin,
we
can allow 2 questions from the audience to Gukesh because Sir is always on the screen answering the best of the best questions. So to Gukesh, though public speaking is not a good move for him.
We're putting Gukesh on a
Just 2 questions, one from this side, one from here. Okay, lady, we go with you first. Yes. No, you had an opportunity in the morning, so can we pass?
Hi, my name is Anshul Thakur and I am from Devbhumi, Himachal. My question is for D. Gukesh. So my question is, do you have any specific routines or habits that help you stay focused? How do you overcome moments of self-doubt or frustration?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question because routines is something that like any sports person pays a lot of attention to. I mean, I can talk about sports person, I don't know about other fields, but like I do have some routines before a game or before a tournament that I try to follow no matter how I'm playing or how I'm feeling, because when you have less things to think about, like when you do something in the morning, evening, night, you don't think about those things. You have more space in your mind to think about chess. I mean, in my case, chess. So I think routines are very important, and I just follow some basic routines before going to sleep, some relaxation activities, when I wake up, some meditation, stuff like that. And I feel even before the game, once I go and sit on the board, I follow some routines so that my mind, that is the best way I found to get into the zone. And I try to be as specific with my routines as possible.
Thank you.
Okay, just one from here. Yes, gentlemen. You got a chance in the morning? No? Are you sure? Okay. Go ahead with the...
Hello, all sir. So,
hello.
Listening to you has been so delightful. Communication is an intrinsic part of leadership. Can you tell me something how I can work on my communication? Because like I was trying to break down what I can learn from you, and there's just so much, whether it's anecdotes, being quick. I was really loving every part of what you said. So how can we build our communication? And Rahul sir.
I said ask Gukesh, please.
Oh yes, to sir, Gukesh sir. And how do you deal with this?
Can we ask him? Yeah, please.
सो गुड आफ्टरनून सर, मेरा नाम अद्वित रंजन है और मैं बिहार से हूँ. सो सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है, मैंने सर आपका वीडियो देखा है कि आपने बहुत ही कम एज में ये कमिटमेंट कर दिया था कि मुझे यंगेस्ट वर्ल्ड चैम्पियनशिप बनना है, और आप बन के दिखाया सर. तो वो मोटिवेशन आपने वहाँ से लेकर यहाँ तक उस मोटिवेशन को मेंटेन कैसे किया सर? ये मेरा क्वेश्चन है सर.
Yeah, that has become a very famous video. I mean, I just said it as a innocent kid, but yeah, like from the time I started playing chess, like I watched Vishy sir versus Magnus match in Chennai in 2013, and I saw Vishy sir losing the title, and I just thought to myself, like I want to bring the trophy home, and the youngest world champion, I don't know how the idea came or where it came from, but yeah, since I started playing, it was just something very special to my heart, and I was putting a lot of effort into it, and I think that was the objective from my childhood, and that was what I was working for. That was what I thought about before going to sleep when I woke up. So yeah, I could say my whole life was filled. I mean, to become the youngest world champion, and now, like in the last couple of years, becoming the world champion doesn't really mean that I'm the best player in the world, because Magnus decided to quit the cycle and stuff like that. So it's also positive in a way that I have kind of achieved my childhood dream, but also there's a lot more to look forward to, a lot more to wake up to. So yeah.
This is exactly what our Honorable Union Minister Sir said, that focus on one thing, and that what he had done in the young age. Hope you got the answer. Okay? Can we have a huge round of applause for all the chat that happened over here and the knowledge they shared with you all. Thank you. And I now request Mr. Jatin to hand over the token of gesture, the mementos, to both the gentlemen here. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, sir, for igniting the fire amongst the youth through your fireside chat. Thank you, sir. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Thanks, Remain seated, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we now go forward with one more speaker. It is an honor to welcome Mr. Pankaj Patel, a visionary leader shaping the global healthcare landscape. As chairman of Zydus Life Sciences Limited, he has steered the company's presence across 85 countries. A distinguished researcher with numerous patents and publications. He also plays a pivotal role in India's growth, serving on the central board of RBI and chairing IIM Ahmedabad, earlier IIM Udaipur and Invest India. His commitment to healthcare and philanthropy is evident through his leadership at the Gujarat Cancer Society and Zydus Foundation. Recognized for his immense contributions, he has been recently conferred with the Padma Bhushan 2025. It is indeed a beautiful accolade that he has earned, and I take sheer pride and pleasure in welcoming Sir Mr. Pankaj Patel. Welcome, sir. Can we give a huge round of applause? Thank you.
Rahul is still around, so let everybody enjoy talking. Anyhow, very good afternoon. Don't waste your time and energy on something which is not important for you. Thank you very much to be here to listen to me. And I'm almost like a post-lunch session where people are tired of listening. Even in college, that happens to us, isn't it? So I must thank both Hasmukh Bhai and Sudhir Bhai for inviting me to speak here. I think soul, everybody has spoken a lot about it, but it's about leadership, isn't it? Now, leadership, if you see, has undergone a change over the last 2 decades. Originally, people were talking leaders are born. Isn't it? That's what we heard very, very early times. It's no longer the case. Leaders are made. And now leaders are evolving. So things have changed over decades that no longer the leaders are born, leaders are actually made through several things happen. Also important to understand that leadership and management are different words. And I think in the morning it was explained to you. But I think, please understand, getting into an MBA program does not become you leader. A leader is much different. You don't require an MBA to become a leader. But you become a leader because you are MBA, you will be leader. I don't think that is the truth. And I think that's where, if you see the over a period of time, as leadership has evolved, I think what has today happened is leader has become a planner, and he has become a kind of a person who is a coach, who creates teams to make that happen. When we look at that and look at the current environment around the world, you know, there is one side climate crisis, the other side we are talking about automation and digitization, the new advent of AI, the healthcare challenges which we are talking about, the geopolitical disturbance, and I love tariff. You all heard that? Correct? I love tariff, the beautiful word. So I think the point is, things are changing in this era, and the leadership also is evolving and changing in this newer era. Let me go back now to share with you some of my experiences in life, and that might be some learning for you as well. And I will start with something which is very important for all of you to understand. Why was Prime Minister was here in the morning and spending time with you? He's the Prime Minister of India. He is 3rd term Prime Minister of India. He'll be even 4th term also. The question is, why should he come here and talk to you? But he is a person who thinks that I have to create leaders. I have to help people to become leader, because this country has a great future, but without leaders it cannot happen. And how he is conscious about this, I'll give you an example. All of us suffer because of COVID. Before COVID happened, somewhere in November, December time frame, he invited all pharma leaders to come and meet him. And we were surprised why was this call. And the call was saying that there is something happening in China. People are talking that it might become a worldwide crisis, and we should be as a country prepared to face it. Imagine the visionary aspect of this leader, thinking ahead of time. When actually lockdown happened, one day I was like at home, about to go to bed, my phone rang. And the phone rang, I lifted the phone, it was from a Delhi number, and the other side was Prime Minister. And the point he said is, भैया, कोविड का प्रॉब्लम हुआ है, अभी एक ही दवाई की बात चल रही है, तो इसको कैसे हम सप्लाई करेंगे? बोला, सर, नो प्रॉब्लम, वी हैव इनफ कैपेसिटी, आवर इंडस्ट्री इज कैपेबल, वी विल सप्लाई टू इंडिया. इसलिए मैंने जो फ़ोन नहीं किया. आई कॉल्ड यू बिकॉज आई हैव टू सर्व द वर्ल्ड. आई हैव टू सप्लाई दिस मेडिसिन टू द वर्ल्ड. द पॉइंट टू बी अंडरस्टूड इज दैट इज द क्वालिटी ऑफ लीडर. So if you don't have this kind of humility, thinking about masses and classes across your population, your country, and even the world as a large, you cannot become a leader. So the point would be, and I think a lot of people have said since morning about this, that you need to have that humility, you need to have that vision, the magnanimity, to think about not only you, not only but your family, not about your city or society or state, but whole world as a university. The other is that example I will take from my own learning is that at that time, as an organization, we had a meeting to discuss what can we do to help. Supplying some medicine was a normal job which we are doing. And that time we said, yes, we should do something for vaccine and we should do something for treatment. And the reason was that when swine flu hit India, fortunately not that bad, we were the only company who developed immediately vaccine in 8 months and put in the market. And of course, fortunately, we were all saved. And we said, we must do vaccine, but a different approach. We created a technology today. That technology is going to be available for any pandemic in future. But not only that, we said it is not enough. Treatment, people won't have income. People won't have it. How do you think about our society? And my team told me, sir, this is the time to give back. And we said, when everybody is selling remdesivir injection at 5,000 rupees, we launched at below 900 rupees. The point was simple. That time, it was not a priority to make profit, but priority was how do you help the society at large. The other thing which came up is that India was pharmacy of the world. Yeah, but that is good. Question is, can India is going to benefit from the drug discovery in the West and do making drug in India, make it at lower cost and in the process offer the drug, or India can also contribute to the knowledge and wealth of new drugs in the world. We decided as an organization that we have to create this capability. We focused on capability building. We focused on creating teams which are committed, and we said we will make a long-term commitment to make this happen. Today, we are the only company in India who has the full capability of a drug discovery, be it an animal testing or be it in. And the success is not in one day. Everybody in the world told me at that time, including big consulting firms, say that it requires $1 billion to discover a drug. So what happens? Everybody will, you will say, where do I have $1 billion? My company's turnover is less than $1 billion. How do I think about doing a research expenditure of $1 billion? But that's a myth. If this is the myth which the West has spreaded. Everything is very expensive, very difficult, they use jargons to make it more difficult. You cannot do it. The Chinese proved them wrong, isn't it? With AI, correct? What I'm trying to say is, that's a reality. Don't accept if people say something that this is so difficult to do it or you cannot do it because you require so much resources and that. Everything is possible. Not that everybody will be able to do it, but at appropriate time in your journey life, you will be able to do whatever is your desire is there. And that's what we focused on. We created capability. We said, we are not going to do it in West. We are going to do it in India. We will take the advantage in India and make things happen. And today, we have 2 NCEs approved in India. 1 is now getting approval in US and in the rest of the world. 1, in fact, in China and so on and so forth. The point I'm trying to raise here is that if you want to do it, then you can do it. But don't get influenced by people, so-called gurus, who come and tell you, you cannot do this. Or you need so much to do this. You require 10,000 people to make a project. Why? That question should come to your mind and not think that, no, I am going to do that. Other thing is which we always think about is that I want to get into a particular business line. Then what the next thing I think? What is my next door neighbor is doing? Or what is the most successful company in India is doing? It's a 100% formula to fail. Because you're copying somebody. You cannot be better than the copy, no? Correct? So the point I want to understand, that copying something is not going to help you. But it's going to help you if you think out of the box. Let me give you one example, or two examples. A challenge was thrown to me that you have to create a hospital and a medical school in a tribal district of Gujarat. And everybody said it's very difficult to do a hospital there. There is people who not educated. They will come with bone and arrow at the hospital. You will have a lot of issues and problems. So easy is to say very difficult, I don't want to do it. We said, no, we will do it. And we realized that if we want to become successful here, we have to show them the value, what we bring in. We created that. Fortunately, we had enough resources to do that, make that happen. But we treated every patient till today free of charge. And what happened is that in the process, now with the PMJY coming in, the hospital almost runs on its own. But the point I'm trying to say is that you need to think about changing the environment. Typically, if you set up a medical hospital, you will say, I will charge. But that, had I done it, I would not have been successful. Then I realized that a middle class, all of you sitting here, has a pain when you go to hospital and pay the bill, isn't it? Correct? Everybody crips about it. And why are you cripping about it? Because he said, मैं गया था, मुझे 1 लाख रुपए में काम हो जाना था, मेरा भी 1.5 लाख का बिल आ गया. 1 लाख का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, 50,000 प्रॉब्लम कर रहा है. इवन 1,10,000 होगा तो 10,000 प्रॉब्लम कर रहा है आपको, बिकॉज आप 1 लाख की तैयारी करके गए थे. So when I thought that there is a problem, how do you solve the problem? And we said, we are going to create hospitals which is made for people who can afford to pay, but do not want to feel not getting service or get cheated. And we created a different model which everybody else not doing it. A said, we will not promote. B, we will not go to anybody to say, send your patient to my hospital. And I will not do any sales promotion activity, which is a huge cost. Second, I said, I would only have patient as my customer, as my guru, and nobody else is my guru. And I will do anything for the patient, but nothing else. And we created a system where if there is a surgery, there is a cost attached to it, it is fixed, and nothing else is paid. And the hospital people said, but sir, sometimes they stay longer and this. I said, that's your mistake. You didn't do thing right. That's why it happened. And then everybody says, no, it's not possible, sir. I said, wait, do it. And they realized that hardly in 1 or 2% case, you exceed that number. But for 2%, why do you punish? But you create, so the kind of thing you do, I'm just giving example, that where you try to do even a business which is already existing, you think about something different. Moment you do something different, there is better reception, better acceptance, and in the result, the hospitals which we created became the best hospital for last 6 years. And it will continue to happen in going forward as well. The other thing is, and I think a lot of people have talked about value. So I think we all know that value is very important. But another important part is culture. When you create a team, the culture of the team is the most important part, because that becomes your DNA. That culture makes you sustainable as a team and going forward. Now, how do you build culture? So in an industry which I am representing, pharmaceuticals, and you might have read in newspaper all the time, no, FDA came and punished this company and FDA has this problem, quality problems. You have read this enough in newspaper, isn't it? Correct? The point what we did is, how do you build culture? We decided to think about it. Created almost 300 teams. These teams have job to meet every day morning to discuss quality for first 10 minutes. They talk about what went right and what did not go right. What can be done better? And that become continuously DNA of the organization. And that's the way you build culture where people think that yes, quality is very important. But if you tell people and preach them, oh, you have to be quality conscious. Somebody said in the morning, no, चाल से नहीं चलेगा. Correct? जुगाड़ नहीं चलेगा. These are the words we have invented in India. But we have to get out of these words, isn't it? If we want to become global, if we want to become successful, then we need to do this. If we don't do this, then it's very difficult for us to actually create world leaders out of you. The other is, of course, the values. And the values becomes a very important part of any organization. And there, something which we very proudly say and do is that not only we do execute well, do everything, I think what we do is how do you create your people. So we in an organization say we build people to build our business. We believe that people is the only resource I have. Rest of them are available freely. You will say, "Arey, money kahan hai, sir?" But it is, if you have people, money will come. If you have idea, money will come. But if you don't have people, nothing can be done. So people is the most important resources. And we said, how do you create your place where people will love to work? So when we made our new office, the architect met me and said, "Sir, what is your brief?" I said, "I have one-liner. The place of my office should be better than my home." He said, "Why?" All of you, when you go to work, you spend most of the time in the office or at the workplace. Then you come home, have dinner, so gaya. Kuch dekha nahi. Morning again, wake up, get ready, and go to work. Most of your time which you spend when you're awake is in the office. It should be better than the home so that you feel like going there. Otherwise, aaj school nahi jana hai. Huh? Bacche karte hain? Huh? Same thing happens. So create environment which is conducive to your people. I'm giving an example, but I can tell you so many other things about it. But try to understand, create environment which happen. The other is, nothing is constant. Things are changing very rapidly. And everybody said, what do we do that? I think change management becomes a very important part. What we followed as an organization, 4 things. A, any change decision should be collective decision. It should not be my decision. It should not be his decision. It should be our decision. So that's the first thing. But when you do the change discussion on change, when everybody is consciously convinced that, yes, this is the way to move forward, communicate it well to the team. And then, of course, execute through a phase-wise planning. Now, most of the time, people change things without explaining why you want to change. You don't take your team with you and do changes. Then things occur. But change has to happen because we live in a world where everything is changing so rapidly. And things are going to change even much faster now with what is happening around the world. And that's why it's going to be important. And as a result, my own organization has undergone every 5 year a change. But every 5 year change was also created through a kind of system which makes sure that everybody is in part of it and they go ahead with that successfully as we move forward. I can keep on going more, but I think I will just say finally a few words. At the core of anything you do in life is people. It's learning and experience which you get. How can it be useful to public good? And you said, you are a business, you have to make profit. But you can make money if you do public good. Don't think that doing public good, you cannot make money. You can. And that's why, to make our dream of Viksit Bharat 2047, we need honesty and integrity in our country. We all have to have a passion for welfare of everybody. We need to have capability to take bold decision, but in a consultative way, and should be capable to create changes at the grassroots level. Long time we have spoken, but I think young people like you, we look forward at you that we have failed, but you will be successful because you have the energy, you have the environment where you can change India and make Viksit Bharat. Thank you very much.
Hello. Yeah. Good evening, sir. So, my question to you was that as in your profession and as in your multi-billion-dollar business, there is very less margin of error and there are high chances of pressure. So, what I think is, as you are such a successful leader, what I think is that, there is always a room for some inspiration. So, sir, what is the inspiration for you? Is it the good for people? Is it some person? So, how do you find inspiration where you take bold calls or where you aim for success? And who is your inspiration?
So, creating something new is my passion. And creating something which others have not done or challenging the status quo is my passion. And I like to do this.
Good evening, sir. My name is Masood Ahmed and I'm from Chhattisgarh. Sir, what is the biggest challenge you face in staying disciplined, sir?
No, I think there are a lot of short-term shortcuts available in life.
Yes, sir.
And you can get very attracted to that. If you avoid it, you can become successful. But if you not avoid it, then you can. So I have always said that we have avoided all those shortcuts and taken a long cut. So not looked at whether every quarter there is a better profit but we always looked at whether we have made progress. Whether we have made the progress in the right way.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Nitin Kumar Chopra. I am also a pharmaceutical sciences student. I have two questions for you. My first question is, as research and development is a money-burning field and it leads to a lot of failures. So how do you, as the leader of such a big group, handle the failures of the research and development? And second question is, India is one of the largest manufacturing hub for pharmaceutical products, but it lacks in research and development field on a global scale. So how do you, as a leader, sees India as the top global manufacturing house? Thank you, sir.
So I got two questions. So first of all, let me address research first. I believe India can deliver 100 new chemical entities or new drugs in the world by 2047. Of course, it would require effort. Yes. Honorable Prime Minister in the morning talked about innovation. Innovation is possible. You, as a pharmaceutical scientist, is capable of doing it, provided you have an environment, ecosystem to make that happen. And I think that's what we all are trying to create now. And I'm very positive about it that it will happen. Question is, if you say it's so difficult, as somebody told me long back, that $1 billion is required, it's not so. The second question you said about failure. I think in our organization, any research project which is failed, we celebrate. I tell everybody who comes back and said, this project has failed, I said, thank you very much. We said, usko shabashi dete hain. Because I think, as they said, no, failure is the first step to success. In research, even is much more. And I think this is the real. And not only in India, one of the most successful country which has been very high in research is Israel. You have heard about, right? In Israel, this is a common thing. The country as a whole celebrates failures. And that's why they are ahead in technology, far ahead with many, many other countries. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, I have one more question, please.
The next session is waiting.
Ma'am, can I please ask?
You can meet him a little later.
Yeah, you can meet me later.
Yes, please, please. I'm so sorry for that. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing all the vision and the visionary leadership and invaluable contributions to healthcare and innovation. And I now call upon Mr. Pratham Singh. He's a researcher and policy analyst. And I request him to kindly present the memento to sir. He's done his policy analysis in political science and international relations. Can we extend a huge round of applause? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Haji, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we shall move to the second session, which will have the fireside chat. And it is my privilege to welcome Mr. Sridhar Venkat, CEO of the Akshay Patra Foundation, a leader dedicated to eradicating classroom hunger with over 30 years of experience at global giants like Philips, ABB, and Cisco. He made a transformative shift to the social sector. He has steered Akshay Patra into the world's largest NGO-run school meal program, feeding 2.25 million children daily. A Wharton alumnus, his leadership has earned global recognition, including the Gandhi Peace Prize and BBC Global Food Champion Award. Please help me welcome Mr. Sridhar Venkat, sir. Welcome, sir. Next, we will have with us a visionary leader in governance and social transformation, Dr. R. Balasubramaniam. Welcome, sir. As a member of the Capacity Building Commission and founder of SVYM and GRAM, he has driven impactful change at the grassroots. A Harvard-trained leadership expert and SEBI board member, his work bridges policy, leadership, and development. He has authored a book named The Power Within, The Leadership Legacy of Narendra Modi, which is highly recommended if you want to learn the leadership rules from the roots. Please welcome both of them. And to moderate the session, would like to invite Mr. Saurav Johari, Director in charge of SOUL and Director of Piramal School of Leadership. Welcome, sir. Sir has, along with various international investment banks and development banks, has worked with various non-profit organizations. Pleasure, sir, and I now request you to take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. This is the session just before the tea break, so please hold your energies for a very electric discussion with Sridhar and Balu. Both of them are stalwarts in whatever field they have been working in. One started with an NGO and now at the head of a leading organization of the government called the Capacity Building Commission, Dr. R. Balu. And he has very recently authored a book, Power Within, the leadership, on leadership and personal leadership behaviors. And Sridhar, of course, leads a very, very, I would say, one of the biggest organizations in the social sector. So, but I would not like to talk a lot about their organization, but I would like to talk to them about their journeys. What made Balu the Balu he is today, and what made Sridhar the Sridhar he is today. So I would like Balu and Sridhar to maybe reflect and go back into your younger days or early childhood days as to what inspired you, and both of you started in the business sector, you started in the social sector, you moved from social sector to the government sector, you moved from the corporate sector to the social sector. So what was these trigger points and what inspired you when you started your journey? So maybe with Balu.
I didn't want to be, my voice is bad, so pardon me for that. I'm just recovering from a bad infection. I didn't want to be where I am today. So I was just like any other young 17-year-old who wanted to do computer science and go where my siblings went. My siblings are all in the US. And I didn't get into IIT. So very disappointed. Didn't get into what was then called regional engineering colleges, RECs. Just took some college in Bangalore. I think fate has a way of dealing with all these things. And that college was beside the Ramakrishna Ashram. And the first day of college, I was so badly ragged that I never had the courage to go back to college the next day. There was no anti-ragging act those days. So after being ragged, coming from a typical middle-class family which always valued studies more than anything else, homemaker mother who was possibly doubly intelligent than what career women can be, and you can't lie to her. You have to say something to her. So I would tell her, college is half day, just started, and spend the half day at the Ramakrishna Mission. Couple of days of just walking around, wandering around. Bangalore Ashram has got a lovely orchard. The monks there thought I come to steal fruits. And just to tell them that I have not come here to steal fruits, to show off, I went and sat in their library. I think the next 2 months changed my life. I read pretty much everything Swami Vivekananda wrote in 2 months. I didn't understand much, but I read it. 8 volumes those days, now it's 10 volumes. But I think 2 books changed my life, and I still believe every young person in India should read these 2 books. One was called to the youth of India, and the other was called to the nation. So I think what Swamiji said, very simple statements like, I call every young man a traitor who, having been educated at people's expense, can't pay the least heed to them. Or stuff like, I do not believe in a God or religion which cannot wipe the widow's tears or bring a piece of bread to the orphan's mouth. And that day, I still remember, it was September 30th, 1982, I was 17. I felt if I get a chance in life, I will do something different. I didn't want to be a doctor. I never even imagined I'll be a doctor. And the day I felt that very strongly, I come back home, I find a telegram saying, join Mysore Medical. I don't know if young people of today know what a telegram is. It is not an app. It is actually something with the Post and Telegraph Department is to send in an emergency. So I got a telegram which said, join Mysore Medical College immediately. I saw that as a sign of the divine. I still believe it was the way Vivekananda communicated and said, your life is for something else. And I joined medicine. At 19, third year of medicine, I started the Vivekananda Youth Movement. That's what SVYM actually represents. And 87, I graduated, I just went into the forest. So I think the next 30 years were the best years of my life, living in the forest with the tribals, like them, amidst them, with them. That chance getting ragged was a blessing.
Thank you, Sridhar.
First of all, I would like to thank Chairman Sudhir Bhai Mehta and Vice Chairman Hasmukh Bhai for inviting us. And Saurabh, thank you for this wonderful path-breaking initiative. In my case, I grew up in a middle class or a lower middle class family in Nagpur, patriotic. I had everything for my needs, but not for greed. I always wanted to become an army guy. Okay. So in engineering, I got selected in the Indian Navy. So I still remember the Commodore asking me this question, why you want to join the Indian Navy? So I told him, I remember I told him in Hindi, I told him, sir, marne ke pehle kuch karke marna hai. I don't want to die just like that. So it so happened I was the youngest at home and my mother didn't allow me to join the Indian Navy. But then many years later, Akshay Patra happened. And I feel so blessed that this is a platform for me to give back to this great nation. How Akshay Patra happened was, in a typical engineer MBA, you want to become a CEO by the age of 40. So I had a good opportunity to work overseas. And I was very, very inspired by the Krishna consciousness movement. And I used to volunteer with Akshay Patra. And the chairman of Akshay Patra, my boss, 2 bosses I have monks, both of them are monks. Okay, and it's blessed to be working with a monk actually. So he called me to his office. His name is Sri Madhu Pandit Das. He's from IIT Mumbai. And he said, Sridhar, what are you doing? So I told him, you see, I'm transitioning from one organization to another. So he asked me one calling kind of a question. He said, Sridhar, why are you building empires for others? Build for these children, build for Krishna's children. That is the words I still remember he said. That was like a moment of calling for me. And I don't know what happened to me. I said yes to him. I didn't even check with my wife. So I called her and told that I'm making this move. She just asked me one question. "Apne khane pine ke liye to ho jayega na kuch na kuch." So, but she has been a great supporter for me and a big sheet anchor. And I think sometimes in life, a moment of calling like this make a huge impact, and you take a complete detour. And then after